Chapter 35:17. In other words, he was saying, once the Treasures Exchange Hall didn't obtain the honor of the best exchange hall, Yiqing Luo would have no excuse to push the blame onto them. So she couldn't pester endlessly to find an excuse for losing the bet. After hearing City Lord Lu's refined smile and shameless words, Yiqing Luo wanted to give a thumbs up for City Lord Lu's quick-wittedness. After finding out that Old Lai would stay in without embroiling City, she passionately invited her to stay at the Lu family. Then, what if Old Lai didn't intend to stay? City Lord Lu's attitude. Would there be a 180-degree change? Wanting to hug Hell Palace's thigh, but unwilling to part with Xiao Yulu's thigh. Still trying to please both sides? Was there a need to be so greedy? Did she treat everyone as fools? Hugging someone's thigh was too obvious, all right. It was easy to offend both sides, all right. As expected, Xiao Yulu's expression turned even uglier. But even if she understood City Lord Lu's true meaning. However, he had to admit that what City Lord Lu had said was reasonable. Xiao Yulu's expression was unfriendly. Then it's decided. But I have another request. Everyone looked at her in unison, waiting for her next sentence. Xiao Yulu's eyes flashed. This auction is a competition between various large exchange halls. I will not interfere in the transactions and auctions of Zhongcheng Exchange. I have the right to request that the seniors from Hell Palace must not help Treasures Exchange Hall. When everyone heard that, they all nodded their heads in understanding, although they didn't approve of Xiao Yulu's action of blocking the other party's way. But they also understood Xiao Yulu's misgivings. Hell Palace was filled with a bunch of unorthodox lunatics who cultivated an evil arts. For so many years, they had been roaming around various places. They would definitely have many rare treasures on them. If the Underworld Palace were to place all these rare items in the Treasure Gathering Hall, Treasures Exchange Hall might not necessarily lose. After all, to be able to enter the eyes of a bunch of lunatics from Hell Palace and to be collected by them, any one of them could make all the cultivators go crazy. Everyone could tell. Xiao Yulu had no intention to let Yiqing Luo off. In order to prevent Hell Palace from interfering, she made use of this bet. Although the people of Chengmin all believed that the strong were respected and strength was supreme. But to the Empyrean fairy of without embroiling City, deep in their hearts, they still refused. Everyone could see that. The Empyrean maiden of without embroiling City was extremely arrogant and looked down on everyone else. He was especially narrow-minded. He would do anything to deal with those who angered him. The citizens of the small city were trembling in fear. In the future, if he saw the Empyrean fairy, it would be better to take a detour. What the F***ck are you talking about? Old Lai exploded. Why can't I cooperate with treasure gathering? Why can't I go to the Treasures Exchange Hall to bid for things? Could it be that I'm not from the Earth domain? Old Lai was furious. His aura became more and more terrifying. Xiao Yulu looked at Old Lai and slowly took 2 steps back. I am only striving for fairness. Everyone knows that the Hell Palace doesn't lack treasures or crystals. If the Hell Palace were to make a move, wouldn't we be helping the Treasure Gathering Hall to cheat? Lao Lai's eyes widened. I am. Yiqing Luo raised her hand and placed it on Old Lai's shoulder, preventing him from being carried on by Xiao Yulu. Chapter 35:18. Miss. Old Lai really didn't understand. That woman was obviously making things difficult. Why did Imperial Madam still agree to everything? She was the Overlord's wife. Why did she have to suffer such grievances? Yiqing Luo waved her hand, indicating for him to calm down. Then she looked at Xiao Yulu. Hell Palace will absolutely not intervene, and I hope Mysterious Fairy can do it. Xiao family will also not intervene in the competition between the trading houses. Xiao Yulu raised her chin and said proudly, I will wait and see. Then she flicked her sleeves. Let's go. After Xiao Yulu turned around and left, the citizens on both sides of the street secretly heaved a sigh of relief, not knowing why. When facing Xiao Yulu, it was even more hair-raising than facing the people from Hell Palace. This auction will definitely be the most lively one in Without Embroiling City in many years. City Lord Lu said cheerfully to ease the atmosphere. How can not be lively? Xiao Yinyan looked at City Lord Lu with a slightly sunken face. City Lord Lu is really scheming. To think that a junior would say that he was a schemer in front of all the citizens. City Lord Lu's face immediately turned ugly. Xiao Yinyan's thin lips twitched as he sneered. Treasure Exchange House, which has been at the bottom for 4 consecutive years, competing with Sincerity Exchange House, which has been the best trading house for 4 consecutive years. Just this point alone will create a huge momentum for Without Embroiling City. City Lord Lu should have already calculated in your heart. City Lord Lu was stunned. Xiao Yinyan continued to sneer. The two sides competing, one is Without Embroiling City's mysterious fairy, the other is a guest from Hell Palace, and with the senior from Hell Palace here. This gimmick will attract many citizens to come to Without Embroiling City to participate in the auction. City Lord Lu should have a rough estimate in your heart, right? City Lord Lu hurriedly looked at Old Lai. Seeing that there was no change in Old Lai and Yi Qing Luo's expressions, he tried his best to calm his tone. Young Master Qiao, the matter of the competition, whether it is a gimmick or not, was decided by Princess Yu Lu and this lady personally. I have never interfered. Moreover, Without Embroiling City can attract the citizens of the other 2 cities. This is beneficial to Without Embroiling City and beneficial to Qiao family. City Lord Lu paused, then raised his voice and deliberately added a hint of suspicion to his tone. Young Master Qiao, could it be that you don't want the citizens of other cities to come to Without Embroiling City? It's not that I don't want to, but I don't like the way you use others to build support for Without Embroiling City. Xiao Yinyan replied without giving him any face. City Lord Lu's face was extremely dark. Xiao family head didn't want to fall out with the Lu family just yet, so he stepped forward and pulled Xiao Yinyan back. Then he looked at City Lord Lu and said, Brother Lu, the auction will be held in 5 days. During this time, Without Embroiling City will definitely be bustling. When that time comes, we'll have to rely on you, Brother Lu. As the Lord of a city, please take good care of us. Upon hearing this, City Lord Lu's expression became slightly better. But, Brother Lu, there's something I need to discuss with you. Patriarch Qiao pushed his son, pushing him towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. Xiao Yinyan staggered a little, but he managed to steady himself when he was still 2 steps away from Yi Qing Luo. City Lord Lu seemed to have realized something, and his expression changed. Chapter 35:19. No way. City Lord Lu vehemently objected. In order to prove my fairness, Miss and the Hell Palace's senior staying in the Lu residence is the best choice. Brother Lu, don't misunderstand. I'm doing this because... Before Patriarch Qiao could finish his words, he was firmly interrupted by City Lord Lu. No matter what the reason is, I've already decided on this matter. Being rejected in such a serious manner, Patriarch Qiao's expression didn't look too good. He looked at his son who was standing in a daze in front of Yi Qing Luo, with a feeling of resentment towards him for failing to meet his expectations. Following that, he walked over in big strides. He patted his palm on Xiao Yinyan's shoulder, using his eyes to signal. Following that, he stared at Yi Qing Luo. Young lass, you decide for yourself. Xiao Yinyan frowned. Father, shut up, don't talk. Patriarch Qiao stared at him angrily and looked at Yi Qing Luo. Young lady, look, you and my boy's age match, and you can chat well. Staying in the Qiao family, giving both of you a chance to understand each other, isn't that good? Yi Qing Luo. Why did he feel that Patriarch Qiao was matchmaking his son? Father, Xiao Yinyan helplessly called out Patriarch Qiao as he looked at Yi Qing Luo guiltily. Yi Qing Luo. Indeed, his feeling wasn't wrong. Even Xiao Yinyan himself felt the same. No wonder Patriarch Qiao rushed over, not standing on Xiao Yulu's side, treating her in various ways, but trying every possible way to bring her back to the Qiao family. He had actually treated her as his future daughter-in-law. Looking at Patriarch Qiao, pretending to be serious, but in actual fact his eyes were sparkling. Yi Qing Luo secretly broke out in cold sweat. Xiao Yin was so outstanding, and his looks were stunning and peerless. Didn't the citizens say that he was the marriage partner of numerous ladies? Why did he only see her for the first time? Patriarch Xiao couldn't wait to bring her back home. Couldn't wait to push his own son into her arms. One must know that her current image was totally a beggar. Was this her biological father? Yi Qing Luo coughed lightly. I intend to stay over at the treasure gathering. When she said that, the faces of Patriarch Xiao and City Lord Lu changed. Miss, the treasure gathering. The treasure gathering has not had any guests for many years. I'm afraid it's extremely shabby. It's better to bring it to the Lu residence. City Lord Lu was anxious. Yi Qing Luo waved her hand. To tell the truth, towards you and Mysterious Fairy, I don't trust them at all. It's better to stay at the treasure gathering exchange and keep an eye on them at all times before I can be at ease. City Lord Lu's face was ashen. Patriarch Xiao took a look at City Lord Lu and didn't continue to persuade Yi Qing Luo. To be honest, he knew City Lord Lu too well. He also didn't believe that City Lord Lu wouldn't secretly do something. There were seniors from the Underworld Palace, following Yi Qing Luo to guard the place. City Lord Lu was still somewhat fearful. Thank you for your kind intentions. Yi Qing Luo cupped her hands in greeting and turned around. Boss Pei, please lead the way. Pei Sheng stood there in a daze for a long time before he immediately said, Coming. This time, the two of them had a smooth journey. How could not go smoothly? Behind the two of them stood Old Lai with a strong aura. When everyone saw this, they couldn't help but move to the sides. Treasure Gathering Exchange. Yi Qing Luo stood at the entrance of the Treasure Gathering Exchange, looking at this inconspicuous shop in front of her, which totally looked like an invisible shop on the street. Yi Qing Luo, in her mind, she recalled the high-class atmosphere and grade of Zhong Cheng Exchange. Chapter 3520. Exchange Hall was a place where items were traded and auctioned off. The appearance was especially important. Try asking, you took a treasure and walked to the exchange hall to conduct an auction or trade. It was a splendid and majestic trading house that looked extremely formal, and a shabby-looking trading hall which looked like a black shop. Which trading hall would you choose? Who dared to pass the treasure to a black shop? Looking at Yi Qing Luo staring at the treasure-gathering trading hall with a dazed expression. Pei Sheng lowered his head in embarrassment as he spoke softly, so sorry, because for so many years, the trading hall has never had any business. It's all because of my little sister Zishi refining medicinal pills, using her own name to secretly sell them outside. That's why the treasure-gathering trading hall is open daily. The more he spoke, the softer his voice became. His face was filled with an embarrassed expression. Yi Qing Luo coughed lightly, realizing that her attitude had hurt Pei Sheng's pride. She turned her head sideways. I don't have any intention to despise it, but as an exchange hall, this is indeed too small. Pei Sheng was getting more and more embarrassed. The medicinal pills that Zishi refined can only cover our expenses, and the exchange of new items for the treasure-gathering trading hall. So I changed the shop front, and in the end, there's only these. Yi Qing Luo lifted her foot and stepped into the main door. This exchange hall was indeed a little too small. The main hall and the inner room added up was probably around 40 over square meters. But from the outside, the treasure-gathering trading hall looked dull and unremarkable. But after walking in, the entire shop was filled with a refreshing fragrance. Yi Qing Luo sniffed and knew. This was a kind of fragrance which could relieve fatigue and soothe the emotions of the body and mind. Moreover, the entire place in the exchange hall was clean and tidy. From the inside, it looks like an exchange hall. Yi Qing Luo nodded. Pei Sheng's hands clenched as he nervously pinched his own hands. I know, this kind of treasure gathering will not make you have any thoughts of cooperating, but please believe me, I will definitely not let you down. He knew that this was his last chance. He must grab hold of this chance firmly. I've already set a bet with Mysterious Maiden because I believe in you. Yi Qing Luo smiled. Since I've said it before, I will let the treasures get the honor of the best trading house. Then I will definitely do it. Pei Sheng nodded vigorously. However, before I work with you, your appearance and whatnot must be modified. Yi Qing Luo was saying that as she walked out of the exchange hall. Her pale hand rested on her chin. She raised her head and looked around the trading hall. There were many onlookers around. They were all curious about the treasure exchange hall that had been at the bottom for 4 consecutive years. Without the help of the Underworld Palace, how are they going to turn things around and compete with the Sincerity Trading House for the honor of being the best trading house? Yi Qing Luo pretended that she didn't see anything as she asked Pei Sheng, "Now, other than you and your sister, is there anyone else in the treasure house?" "No, no more." Pei Sheng shook his head. Yi Qing Luo pursed her lips and pondered for a moment. Then he said, "You said that your little sister knows alchemy? Is it medicine master?" "Yes." Pei Sheng's eyes lit up when he mentioned his little sister. "She's a pharmacist. What a talented apothecary." Chapter 35:21. Alchemists wanted to improve and break through. They could only desperately refine medicinal pills to raise their proficiency in order to upgrade their alchemist level. As for refining medicinal pills, it required a lot of time and energy, especially the medicinal herbs and herbs. Based on Pei Sheng's financial situation, his little sister indeed did not have enough medicinal herbs to raise her proficiency in alchemy. Her innate talent is not bad. Then does she know about medicinal herbs? Yi Qing Luo touched her chin. Pei Sheng nodded vigorously. Yes. The medicinal pills she refined were all picked by herself at the periphery of the West Cliff Mountain. West Cliff Mountain? Old Lai, who had been standing by the side without saying a word, suddenly said, "Lad, to let your little sister go to the West Cliff Mountain alone for the sake of the exchange hall and the family's livelihood, as her brother, aren't you too useless?" Pei Sheng's face instantly turned red. He lowered his head and clenched his fists tightly. Yi Qing Luo stared at Old Lai. Old Lai was stunned by the stare. The West Cliff Mountain is the most dangerous mountain in without embroiling city. Magical beasts and mirage beasts crawl everywhere, and there are a lot of mercenary groups doing missions there. He let a young lady go to the West Cliff Mountain to pick medicinal herbs. Isn't this? Bam! Yi Qing Luo patted Old Lai's shoulder and whispered, "Stop talking." Old Lai's mouth moved and stopped his voice. Yi Qing Luo looked at Old Lai. Her heart was a little surprised. She really didn't understand why the people from the Hell Palace would help her. Moreover, it seemed that her attitude towards her words was obedient. Was it because they knew she was DMO Xian's wife? They wanted to please her to please DMO Xian? Forget it. No matter what reason Old Lai had. Anyway, Old Lai was at the treasure gathering. People like the Lu family and Xiao Yilu wouldn't dare to act rashly. Yi Qing Luo retracted her vision and looked at Pei Sheng, whose face was flushed red, as guilt was spreading. She raised her hand and patted Pei Sheng's shoulder lightly. "You are all trying to protect the treasure gathering. This is not wrong. If you really feel sorry for your little sister, then make yourself stronger to protect her." Pei Sheng's body stiffened as she raised her head to look at her. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as she smiled at him. "This time, after obtaining the honor of the best trading house, whether you're able to grab hold of the opportunity to let her live a good life will depend on you." Pei Sheng looked at Yi Qing Luo in a daze. There were ripples in his eyes. His eyes gradually reddened. He clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes were resolute. I will. So call her back now. There are only 5 days left. We have to hurry up." Seeing him pick himself up, Yi Qing Luo loosened the hand on his shoulder. Pei Sheng nodded, turned around, and ran into the crowd. Taking advantage of this time, Yi Qing Luo went to the inner hall of the treasure gathering to tidy herself up. At the back of the inner hall, there were only 2 extremely narrow bedrooms. One was slightly bigger, and the other was smaller. There was only a wooden bed, and it could only accommodate 1 person. The room was larger and looked more elegant. This should be Pei Sheng's younger sister's room. Yi Qing Luo didn't stand on ceremony as she walked straight into the big room. When he saw the bronze mirror on the table, Yi Qing Luo finally understood why when those people saw her, they would treat her as a beggar. What the F***? Wasn't he a little too pathetic? Her hair was like a chicken's nest, stained with mud. Chapter 35:22. Other than a pair of long and narrow eyes, which were extremely eye-catching in the mud and dirt. Messy hair, dirty face, tattered robes stained with all kinds of unknown filth, she looked like a beggar who had gone through hardships. He couldn't be any more embarrassed. Yiqing Luo's current mood was, well, she could no longer use words to describe her feelings. Taking a deep breath, Yiqing Luo asked Old Lai to get a few buckets of water. She took out the bathtub in the corner. Probably because Pei Sheng's sister was also a pharmacist. Everything in the room had been disinfected by medicinal herbs. Yiqing Luo sprinkled some medicinal powder into the bathtub and disinfected it once again. She then closed the door and started to wash herself. Yiqing Luo was still puzzled. What on earth was going on? What had happened in the upper realms passage? The minute she opened her eyes, she had become such a ghost? After washing for about 1 instant's time, Yiqing Luo had already changed the water twice. The water in the bathtub finally became clearer. At this moment, light footsteps were heard outside the door and a girl's clear voice was heard. "Miss, I'm Zishi." It was Pei Sheng's sister. The girl outside the door continued. "I've prepared a set of clothes for you. Although it was worn by me, but has been washed very clean and has been deodorized by medicinal herbs. If Miss doesn't mind, you can wear this set of clothes first." The girl's voice was very pleasant and extremely melodious. Yiqing Luo nodded. "Sorry to trouble Mississippi." Her words fell. A white fur kitten leaped out of the room. Outside the door, a girl's exclamation was heard. But seeing the kitten biting the clothes in her hands and running towards the room, she heaved a sigh of relief. Yiqing Luo took the clothes from Chi-Chi's mouth. The light purple dress was extremely simple and elegant. Yiqing Luo expressed that Zishi's taste was not bad. But Yiqing Luo's fingers brushed past the dress on her. A strange look surfaced in her eyes. The material of this dress felt like it was not an ordinary material. It was definitely not a material that Pei Sheng's economic condition could afford. Yiqing Luo kept away the deep thoughts in her heart, and after she put on her clothes, she wiped her wet long hair until the ends of her hair were no longer dripping water. She then bent over and carried Chi-Chi. She was about to push the door and walk out. But after thinking about it, she took out a veil from the profound phoenix ring and covered half of her face. Then she walked out of the room. Outside the door stood a delicate and pretty woman. She wore an ice blue dress that was simple and close-fitting, which was very convenient for her movements. Her hair was simple and held in place by a wooden hairpin. The woman was still as beautiful as a butterfly that had spread its wings and was about to take flight. She was extremely intelligent and pretty. Their eyes met, and a sweet smile appeared on the corner of the woman's mouth. "Miss, do the clothes fit you?" Yiqing Luo smiled at her. "It's very fitting. Thank you, Mississippi." She glanced at the woman imperceptibly. Lady dress was of the material of quality. Big brother is waiting for Miss in the outer hall. Let's go over first. The lady's line of sight was fixed on Chi-Chi, who was in Yiqing Luo's arms. "Is this little kitten your war pet?" Yiqing Luo nodded. "Yes, very cute. Very well behaved. What breed is it?" They chatted as they walked towards the main hall. "Tiger beast, but in cub form." Yiqing Luo rubbed Chi-Chi's head and didn't hide it. Chapter 35:23. After the two of them reached the main hall, Pei Sheng heard the voice and immediately raised his head, as he was stunned on the spot. The young lady was dressed in a light purple long dress. Her brows were picturesque. A pair of long and narrow eyes were sparkling, as though she was the only light in the world. A head of wet black hair draped over her shoulders, and a few strands were stuck on her veil, which added a bit of irresistible charm, although half of the young lady's face was covered by the veil. But from that veil, one could faintly see the silhouette and her arrogant temperament. It made her look like a fairy from the 9 heavens, noble and elegant, unattainable. Even Lao Lai was dumbfounded. He had never seen Yiqing Luo's real face. The last time at the Hell Palace, he didn't dare to seriously size up the young lady. But today, he had to admit, This young lady and the Overlord standing next to each other would absolutely not be inferior. Brother Sheng. The young lady walked to Pei Sheng's side, bit her lower lip, and pinched Pei Sheng's arm hard. Pei Sheng drew in a breath of cold air as he regained his senses, realizing that he had lost his composure earlier. He hurriedly apologized. Sorry, I'm not. No matter. Yi Qing Luo shook her head. This shows that I have peerless beauty. Peerless. Pei Sheng. He admitted that she was indeed peerless, but was it really all right to say that about himself? Miss, I heard from Brother Sheng about the bet between you and Princess Yulu. I'm here to thank you for being willing to help us gather treasures at this time. The young lady patted Pei Sheng's arm, indicating for him to take a seat. Then she looked at Yi Qing Luo in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, as her brows were filled with sincere gratitude. As long as we can help to gather treasures, whatever Miss wants to do, Brother Sheng and I will fully cooperate. Yi Qing Luo nodded. Boss Pei has already expressed his gratitude. What we need to do now is to make everyone interested in gathering treasures within 5 days. What does Miss want to do? The young lady expressed her approval. You two don't talk about girls anymore. Old Lai's head started to swell. We still need to interact for a few more days. Don't tell me you intend to have one girl and one girl each. Pei Sheng hurriedly stood up as he frantically pulled the young lady over. Sorry, I forgot to introduce my sister. This is my little sister, Gu Zishi. This is... Pei Sheng looked at her younger sister, but when the words were about to come out of her mouth, she pursed them. Till now, he still didn't know Yi Qing Luo's name. Yi Qing Luo stood up, the lips under the veil slightly hooked up. My name is Di Luo. You can call me Al Luo. Di Luo. Pei Sheng muttered. Lady Di. Yi Qing Luo raised her brows as she squinted at him. Gu Zishi, on the other hand, was more understanding. She walked forward with a smile, took her arm and called Al Luo. Yi Qing Luo shot a glance at Pei Sheng. See that. Learn more from your sister. She paused as if she had thought of something. She looked at the two of them in confusion. Wait, isn't your surname Pei? Why is Zishi surnamed Gu? I was picked up by Brother Sheng. We call each other brother and sister, and we depend on each other. Gu Zishi looked very calm. Yi Qing Luo nodded meaningfully. No wonder she felt that there was a different atmosphere between the two of them. They weren't biological siblings. Yi Qing Luo's long and narrow eyes curved slightly. Chapter 35-24. In order to change the topic, Gu Zishi's gaze intentionally lingered on Yi Qing Luo's face. Al Luo, this is the Treasures Exchange Hall. Why do you still need to cover your face with a veil? It's a sin to be too beautiful. Yi Qing Luo put on a serious look. To prevent mysterious maiden from seeing my peerless beauty, from being jealous and doing something rash, that would be terrible. Al Luo, you're really narcissistic. Gu Zishi was speechless. Yi Qing Luo sighed helplessly. I'm also very helpless about a natural-born beauty. After a few more words of banter, the relationship between the few of them had pulled closer by quite a bit. Regarding to let the Treasures Exchange Hall return to the eyes of the public within 5 days, do you have any thoughts? After pulling closer, Yi Qing Luo went straight to the main topic. Pei Sheng's gaze instantly turned serious when he mentioned the Treasures Exchange Hall. He looked at Yi Qing Luo. You should understand the situation of the Treasures Exchange Hall. Basically, the matter 5 years ago had already caused the Treasures Exchange Hall to lose the hearts of the people. To let them choose the Treasures Exchange Hall again, I'm afraid it will be very difficult. Today's matter has already taken the first step, isn't it? Yi Qing Luo's lips curled as her gaze shot outside the door. The entrance of the Treasures Exchange Hall was already surrounded by many citizens who were watching the bustle. Discussions were everywhere, and it was extremely lively, although those citizens had not taken a step into the Treasures Exchange Hall. However, when he heard the voices and discussions, he knew that he had already made great progress. After all, the Treasures Exchange Hall had not had such a lively scene for a long time. Today at the entrance of Zhongcheng Exchange Hall, because of Xiao Yulu's relationship, basically most of the citizens had gathered over. And because of the bet, the various citizens had definitely remembered the name of the treasures exchange hall. No matter when, everyone's potential would always be hidden with the nature of gossip. The citizens were filled with curiosity as to how treasure gathering had defeated Zhongxing and obtained the honor of being the best trading house. No matter what the citizens are concerned about, as long as the point they are concerned about is the treasures exchange hall, this is considered a success. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze as she walked to the chair by the side and sat down, placing Qi on her lap. Qi was like a little kitten, lazily curled up on Yiqing Luo's lap, closing her eyes with a contented posture. It really did look like a pet. Gu Zixi gaze lingered on Qi for a moment. Following that, his gaze shifted to Yiqing Luo's face as he asked, "But, during the auction, various large trading houses compete on the total number of crystal stones successfully traded during the duration of the auction in order to obtain the honor of the best trading house." She paused for a moment before continuing. "Under the premise that we can't let the Hell Palace interfere, what items should we auction in the auction to be confident?" When Yiqing Luo heard that, she couldn't help but shifted her gaze on Gu Zixi. To be honest, from the moment they met until now, Yiqing Luo felt that this Gu Zixi totally didn't look like someone who was picked up and brought home, relying on pill refining to maintain the daily business of the treasure gathering. On the contrary, judging from her temperament, her conversation, and her understanding of the matter, it was obvious that she was a good girl. Yiqing Luo felt that this lady was absolutely not simple. At the very least, it was definitely not as simple as Pei Xing said. However, from Gu Zixi, Yiqing Luo didn't sense any malicious intent. "Did I say something wrong? Why are you looking at me like that?" Gu Zixi felt goosebumps from Yiqing Luo's stare. Chapter 35-25. Gu Zixi. Was there a need to use such a complicated expression to guess her master level? Master level. Under Yiqing Luo's gaze, Gu Zixi revealed her own level. "You still can't break through to Grandmaster level?" Yiqing Luo's fair fingers pressed against her chin. Gu Zixi shook her head. "I'm not used to it yet. I need an opportunity." Yiqing Luo pursed her lips as her eyes drooped in deep thoughts. On the other hand, Pei Xing looked at Yiqing Luo in shock. Very few people could persevere in the profession of master, not to mention the long time required. It also required a large amount of financial and material resources, especially when there was a high failure rate. So if a master-level master were to spread it out, there would definitely be numerous forces fighting for it. Pei Xing had always been proud of Gu Zixi as a master, but he didn't expect Yiqing Luo actually despised it. That's right, despised. That tone was filled with despise. Noticing Pei Xing's agitated emotions, Yiqing Luo glanced over. "TSK. Was he a protective maniac, or was it because of some other reason? I don't have any other meaning by asking this." Yiqing Luo took out a folded piece of paper from the profound phoenix ring and passed it to Gu Zixi. "Since you don't have any ideas about what you want to auction in the auction, I have an idea here." Gu Zixi took the paper and opened it. The expression on her face instantly turned serious and solemn. His eyes also gradually lit up. She kept the paper in her hand. Where did you get the formula from?" How could there be such a formula?" "Follow the formula and buy the commonly used medicinal herbs in the most low-profile way. As for the main medicinal herbs, I'll have to trouble you to collect them from the West Cliff Mountain." Yiqing Luo didn't answer the source of the formula. "It's best to bring back a batch of medicinal herbs and try to refine a small bottle tomorrow to advertise." "Tomorrow?" Gu Zixi opened the prescription in her hand and looked at it again. "How is that possible?" "You're in charge of finding the medicinal herbs. I'll do the rest." Yiqing Luo smiled. "If tomorrow's advertising is successful, we'll definitely get the best trading house's honor." Gu Zixi was stunned as her pupils enlarged. "You're also a master?" Yiqing Luo nodded with a smile. Gu Zixi took a deep breath and gripped the prescription in her hand tightly. She didn't ask about Yiqing Luo's alchemist grade. She could tell that Yiqing Luo's level was absolutely above hers. "All right, I understand. I will definitely bring back enough medicinal ingredients to make a bottle of it before 11 p.m. today." Gu Zixi put away the recipe. It's very dangerous over at West Cliff Mountain. Let Old Lai go over to protect you. Yiqing Luo looked at Old Lai, who was dozing off by the side. Anyway, he has nothing better to do. Gu Zixi expression changed slightly. No, there's no need. I'm very familiar with Xiao Mountain. Nothing will happen. If you don't let Old Lai follow you, Sheng will worry about you. Yiqing Luo took a look at Pei Sheng. Don't worry, Old Lai won't keep following you around. I have other matters to attend to and would like to trouble him to make a trip to the West Cliff Mountain. Gu Zixi hesitated for a moment. Okay, I understand. The two of them had already decided on the future of the Gathering Treasures exchange. Pei Sheng was a little dazed. Zixi, what exactly is the formula that Luo gave you? Gu Zixi's lively eyes curved. Her little body half sprawled on the coffee table, both hands supporting her chin as she looked at Pei Sheng playfully. Chapter 35:26. Pei Sheng couldn't get an answer, so Gu Zixi and Old Lai had already left the treasure gathering. Pei Sheng could only shift his gaze towards Yiqing Luo before he could even open his mouth to ask. Yiqing Luo clapped her hands and carried Chi as she stood up. All right, let's start. Start what? Pei Sheng looked at Yiqing Luo in a daze. Yiqing Luo walked straight out of the entrance of the treasure gathering. Of course, to transform the treasure gathering. When the young lady walked to the entrance, she even turned her head and looked at him with a smile. As she retreated, she smiled and said, You're right. Her eyes were filled with a crafty smile. Her veil fluttered like a fairy descending to earth. Even though Pei Sheng had already been stunned by Yiqing Luo, at this moment, he was dazzled by the young lady's smile. Of course, it couldn't be said that he had any evil thoughts towards Yiqing Luo, but humans were visual animals. All of their reactions were the most instinctive reactions to the visual feast in front of them. When a man dressed in a black robe with an elegant demeanor arrived at the entrance of the treasure gathering exchange hall, what he saw was this scene. The young lady was dressed in a simple and elegant light purple long dress, which accentuated the young lady's petite figure. The purple dress followed the young lady's footsteps. Like a blooming purple rose, it dyed the entire pupil. Yiqing Luo acutely sensed someone approaching from behind. Her retreating footsteps immediately halted. She could almost smell the scent of the person behind her. After Yiqing Luo halted her footsteps, she speedily turned around and retreated 2 steps. The moment she turned around, the white veil fluttered with the wind, faintly revealing half of her smooth lower jaw. The contour was soft and beautiful, her lips pink and tender. The man stood there in a daze, his eyes fixated on Yiqing Luo, not moving for a long time. After Yiqing Luo retreated a few steps, she saw the man's face clearly. Her pink lips pursed. Eldest young Master Qiao. This man, wasn't he Qiao Yinyan? Pei Sheng also saw Qiao Yinyan and hurriedly ran out from the treasure gathering exchange hall. Eldest young Master Qiao? Why are you here? Hearing Pei Sheng's male voice, Qiao Yinyan's eyes, which were staring at Yiqing Luo, without blinking finally, had some fluctuations. His eyelashes trembled. Miss, is eldest young Master Qiao here on behalf of Mysterious Fairy to test if treasure gathering has the ability to gain glory in the auction? Yiqing Luo asked with a smile. Qiao Yinyan's handsome face immediately tensed up. No, I'm definitely not helping Princess Yulu search for the treasure. He lowered his head in embarrassment. I want to help. Looking at Qiao Yinyan's anxious expression, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh out loud. I'm just joking. In front of Qiao Yulu, Qiao Yinyan had never spoken up for her. Of course, it was impossible for him to help Qiao Yulu and come over to investigate the situation of the treasure gathering. Furthermore, everyone in Without Embroiling City knew what the treasures gathering hall looked like. There was no need to probe the situation at all. However, from what she could see, Qiao Yulu would definitely send someone to investigate her identity. Looked like she needed Old Lai's help to get her an identity in the Hell Palace. Although I've made a verbal promise with Mysterious Fairy that I will absolutely not allow anyone from the Hell Palace to help. But I don't swindle any treasures from eldest young Master Qiao and put it up for auction just to let eldest young Master Qiao use some physical strength, so it shouldn't be against the rules, right? Yiqing Luo looked at Xiao Yinyan smilingly. In her long and narrow eyes, there was an obvious, teasing smile. Chapter 35:27. However, Xiao Yinyan still agreed without hesitation. Yiqing Luo brought the two of them and started to discuss the exterior design of the treasure house. If they wanted to renovate it, there was not enough time, so they could only choose to fiddle with the small details, making some changes to make the treasure exchange hall not look so shabby, not like an unlicensed black shop. The entire afternoon until evening, Yiqing Luo and the other two were busy. More and more citizens came over to watch, but they didn't disturb the three of them. Yiqing Luo didn't bother about them. To tell the truth, it wasn't a bad thing to have the citizens watching. This was a bunch of free publicity staff, and Gu Zishi and Old Lai had not returned yet. They were busy all the way till 9 o'clock, which was around 9 o'clock at night, when Yiqing Luo called for the two of them to stop and rest. Pei Sheng and Xiao Yinyan were sweating profusely as they slumped on the chair, panting heavily. For the entire day, they were indeed doing physical labor. He wasn't carrying them around, but leaping onto roofs and vaulting over walls, installing this and that, and using profound energy to turn into a blade, chopping firewood, chopping wood, carving various exquisite designs. When the citizens saw this scene, their hearts were bleeding. One must know, Xiao Yinyan was a talented youngster in without embroiling city. He had never made a move easily. Now he was reduced to using profound energy, chopping firewood, chopping wood, carving flowers. This was simply a waste of God's gift. The key was, their eldest young Master Qiao was doing these degrading things, yet he was doing it happily. The citizens, could it be that their eldest young Master Qiao had taken a liking to this mysterious and arrogant young lady? In the treasure exchange hall, Yiqing Luo saw their exhausted looks and went into the inner room to prepare a meal for them. He saw Yiqing Luo's figure disappearing at the door. Pei Sheng raised his hand and wiped off the sweat on his forehead, but his peripheral vision kept glancing at Xiao Yinyan. Xiao Yinyan's perception was high, so he naturally felt the gaze which was constantly shooting over. He drank a cup of tea and met Pei Sheng's gaze. "Why does Brother Pei keep looking at me? I want to ask you a question." Pei Sheng put down his hand, turned his body, and looked at him seriously. "Brother Pei, please ask away." Xiao Yinyan put down his teacup. His slender fingers had distinct joints, which made him look very attractive. Pei Sheng's lips twitched as he stared at Xiao Yinyan for a long time. Finally, he stammered that, "Did you? Luo. Brother Pei likes Luo?" Xiao Yinyan's eyes were filled with a smile. He leaned forward slightly and looked into Pei Sheng's eyes. He leaned forward. Some of Xiao Yinyan's silver hair fell to the ground. His handsome face was even more incomparably handsome. Pei Sheng's cheeks immediately turned red. It was unknown whether it was because of Xiao Yinyan's words or because of Xiao Yinyan's handsome appearance. I don't have that kind of feeling for Luo." He shook his head and explained with a red face, "Luo is my benefactor. I am very grateful to Luo." Xiao Yinyan narrowed his eyes and leaned back in his chair. He didn't answer Pei Sheng's question. Although Pei Sheng was shy, she did not forget her purpose. She looked at him and asked again, "What about you? Do you like Luo?" Xiao Yinyan only curled his thin lips as he smiled but didn't reply. Was this like or not like? Towards this kind of emotion, Pei Sheng didn't know how to differentiate. Chapter 35:28. At this time, there was a hubbub outside the entrance of the Treasures Exchange Hall. Since today's bet, outside the Treasures Exchange Hall, there had been endless discussions and noises. But the hubbub this time was obviously not small. Xiao Yinyan frowned and was about to get up. Pei Sheng had already stood up. "You continue to rest. I'll go take a look." As he said this, he walked out of the Treasures Exchange Hall. Outside the Treasures Exchange Hall, the citizens who were originally gathered together had now split into two sides. And standing in the middle of the citizens was Xiao Yulu, who was like the moon surrounded by stars. The woman's petite figure was no longer as graceful and luxurious as before, but was dressed like the daughter of an aristocratic family. She wore a white dress, a white veil covering her face, and her temperament was like an orchid. Just looking at her like this, she was indeed an extremely pleasing beauty. At this time, Xiao Yulu was staring at the Treasures Exchange Hall with an ugly expression. After a few hours of busy work by the three of them, the outer appearance of the Treasures Gathering Hall had undergone a tremendous change from its previous appearance that was gray and inconspicuous, like an illegal shop that operated without a license. Xiao Yulu's white fingers clenched tightly into fists. The Treasures Exchange Hall in front of them, although it was very small, but no matter which corner, which line of sight looked over, they all felt this was an extremely grand and high-class Treasures Exchange Hall. The surroundings of the Treasures Exchange Hall, after some detailed treatment, as well as some exquisite decorations, had completely changed the overall aura of the Treasures Exchange Hall. Especially on the two sides of the Treasures Exchange Hall, there were two extremely beautiful beast-shaped stone statues, looking like Cheelants, under the illumination of the two red lanterns hanging above the entrance. The stone statues seemed to be plated with a layer of bright, glazed light. It could be said that the current Treasures Exchange Hall, in terms of appearance, it was definitely not inferior to the Sincerity Exchange Hall. Sister Yulu, Yu Ji-Wen, who was at the side, stared at the Treasures Exchange Hall with an unfriendly expression, a sense of danger surging in her heart. Xiao Yulu's expression was dark, her sharp gaze shooting straight at Pei Sheng, who had walked out of the Treasures Exchange Hall. She raised her hand, and an invisible force shot straight at Pei Sheng's face. That strength was extremely ruthless, and there was no mercy at all. Pei Sheng's eyes widened, completely not expecting Xiao Yulu to suddenly attack. He was so shocked that he wanted to avoid it. However, Xiao Yulu's profound rank was above him, and her attacks were swift and fierce. He had no time to dodge. Bang! The sharp blade sliced through the air and emitted an explosive sound. Pei Sheng's tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. His face was filled with shock. He's okay? Pei Sheng didn't feel any pain. He raised his head and saw that a figure had appeared in front of him. Her silver hair fluttered gently in the wind. His black robe spread out like ink. Brother Qiao. Pei Sheng was shocked, and his voice trembled slightly. You. How did you? It was Xiao Yinyan who had rushed in front of him and blocked Xiao Yulu's attack. Big brother. When Xiao Yulu saw that the person who blocked her attack was Xiao Yinyan, her expression darkened even more. You're really here? Xiao Yinyan frowned. What are you doing here? Treasure gathering violated the bet between me and that bitch, Xiao Yulu said coldly. As the boss of treasure gathering, he must be punished. Xiao Yinyan raised his hand and blocked in front of Pei Sheng. What nonsense are you talking about? I've been in the Treasures Exchange Hall all this time. How come I don't know what bet treasure gathering violated? Chapter 35:29. Big brother, do you still think of this consort as your little sister? Xiao Yulu's beautiful eyes were overflowing with ruthlessness. Why would you rather help an outsider and go against this queen? The expression on Xiao Yinyan's handsome face didn't change. His gaze was also calm, and not a hint of emotion could be seen. You are Princess Yulu, the Empyrean lady of without embroiling city. He paused, raised his eyes, and stared straight into Xiao Yulu's. I'm not going against Princess Yulu. I'm just speaking the truth. You. Xiao Yulu was so angry that her face turned red. She pointed at Xiao Yinyan with clenched teeth, and her eyes reddened. Yu Jiwen foolishly looked at Xiao Yinyan's face that was as handsome as a god, lightly bit her lower lip, and said with a wrong tone, Big brother Yinyan, even if Sister Yulu is the Empyrean fairy of without embroiling city, her original identity was still the second daughter of the Qiao family, your biological sister. Are you going to stand in front of her and help those who want to deal with her and criticize her? Listening to such accusations, Xiao Yinyan didn't even bat an eyelid. He glanced sideways at the man behind him. A strand of silver hair fluttered on his handsome face. It made his black eyes shine even brighter. I didn't see Brother Pei deal with Princess Yulu. I also didn't blame Princess Yulu. His voice was very calm, and he was merely stating the facts. The reason why I'm standing here is because I've always seen the overbearing person being you. Xiao Yulu was swept by his gaze. His face immediately turned green and white. She clenched her fists tightly, her fingers leaving circles of marks on her palms. Big brother, am I that kind of person in your eyes? Her voice was still a little choked. Paired with the white gauze, it made her look even more pitiful. You know best what kind of person he is. Xiao Yinyan had no intention of leaving Xiao Yulu any face. Xiao Yulu gritted her teeth, and her body tensed up. She was so angry that she was trembling. There were already many citizens gathered around to watch the treasure gathering, and her arrival. This caused more citizens to gather over. The drama had just happened during the day. Now there was a good show to watch. The citizens, who didn't have any entertainment after dinner, naturally rushed here without stopping. In front of almost 80% of the citizens, Xiao Yulu was completely embarrassed by Xiao Yulu's words. Seeing this, Yu Jiwen's face turned red. She grabbed Xiao Yulu's arm and glared at Xiao Yinyan with red eyes. Big brother Yinyan, you've never been like this before. Big sister Yulu is your younger sister, and she just returned to without embroiling city today. Yet, instead of staying at the Qiao clan to welcome big sister Yulu, you came to the treasure gathering hall, and you even spoke so harshly to big sister Yulu, completely disregarding the relationship between the two of you as siblings. You. She raised her trembling hand and pointed at Xiao Yinyan as tears streamed down her face. Have you fallen for that B*TCH? In order to please that bitch, you became like this. What was I like before? How is it now? What does this have to do with you? Xiao Yinyan glanced at Yu Jiwen indifferently. Don't speak as if you know me very well. Third, miss you. I'm not familiar with you at all. It's not up to an outsider like you to interfere in the affairs of the Qiao clan. His voice paused slightly, and his ink-black eyes slightly darkened. Chapter 35:30. Yu Jiwen's eyes widened as she looked at Xiao Yinyan in shock. It was as if she couldn't believe that Xiao Yinyan would say such ruthless words. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Yu Jiwen lowered her head and didn't dare to say anything else. Xiao Yulu glared at Yu Jiwen and cursed her inwardly. Then, she pushed Yu Jiwen's hand away and stared at Xiao Yinyan coldly. Big brother, since you're so heartless that you won't even acknowledge me as your sister for that girl, then don't blame me for not giving you face. Xiao Yinyan frowned. What do you want to do? I don't want to do anything. Xiao Yulu's eyes were cold, and her expression was ruthless. I just want to teach the owner of the Treasures Exchange, Pei Sheng, a lesson. She pointed a slender finger at Pei Sheng and said word by word, Pei Sheng, I'll give you two choices. First, get over here right now and kneel on the ground to admit that the Treasures Exchange broke the bet. Second, I'll smash the Treasures Exchange right now. Princess Yu. Lu. Xiao Yinyan's face darkened when he heard those arrogant words. You're without embroiling city's Empyrean fairy. You represent without embroiling city. Aren't you afraid of losing the face of without embroiling city by being so arrogant and willful? You're the first young master of the Qiao family, a genius with all kinds of honors in without embroiling city. If you're willing to disregard family ties for a girl you've just met, why should I be afraid? Xiao Yulu sneered and didn't waste any more words with Xiao Yinyan. She stared coldly at Pei Sheng with a burning gaze. He swiftly raised his palm and smashed it down towards Pei Sheng. That palm strike was completely different from the one that Xiao Yinyan had blocked earlier. The girl's white dress was blown away. The surging wave was like a tidal wave, carrying with it a boundless killing intent. Xiao Yinyan's expression changed drastically. He quickly pulled Pei Sheng over and thrust his palm toward Xiao Yulu. That palm strike created a shockwave that was extremely violent. The wave of air that it created was like a raging wave that tore through the air. The surrounding citizens spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew backward, falling heavily to the ground. Some of the weaker ones even fainted. Xiao Yinyan hurriedly retracted his palm and looked at the fallen citizens with a livid expression. He glared at Xiao Yulu and said, How much longer are you going to make a scene? This isn't the Linglong Hall. It's not a place where you can mess around. If these citizens die, It will be your fault. Xiao Yulu sneered. If you don't want the citizens to get hurt again, then move aside and let this empress smash treasure gathering. Xiao Yinyan gritted his teeth. I didn't expect you to become like this. Xiao Yulu raised her chin proudly. Everything I do is for without embroiling city. Big brother, this concert will ask you one last time. Are you going to move or not? Xiao Yinyan clenched his fist tightly. His body tensed up because of the atmosphere, and his muscles were firm. He glared at Xiao Yulu with his dark eyes. Brother Xiao. Pei Sheng's face was pale. He put a hand on Xiao Yinyan's arm. You can't fight anymore. The citizens will get hurt. He turned his head and looked at the treasure-gathering exchange behind him. His eyes reddened involuntarily. He clenched his fists and said in a low, hoarse voice, We can't let her smash treasure gathering either. This is not only the brand that I've guarded for 5 years. It's also the blood, sweat, and tears of Aluo and us. Chapter 35-31. I choose the first option. Kneel, admit the violation of the bet, and accept the punishment. Only in this way could they prevent the citizens from getting hurt and protect the treasure's trading house. But once he admitted it, he might. Pei Sheng lowered his head and clenched his fists even tighter. Are you crazy? Xiao Yinyan grabbed Pei Sheng's shoulder. Her goal is to force you to admit that the treasure's trading house violated the bet. In this way, she will win the bet between her and Aluo. Pei Sheng's face was pale, and his whole body was stiff. Xiao Yinyan pulled him back and looked at Xiao Yulu with an unfriendly expression. You are the Empyrean fairy of without embroiling city. Do you think you are qualified to be the Empyrean fairy if you don't care about the citizens' lives? His brows were tightly knitted. The expression on his face was covered with frost. Xiao Yulu only sneered. Big brother also said that I am the Empyrean fairy of without embroiling city. In without embroiling city, I can do whatever I want. Besides, it's the honor of the citizens to sacrifice their lives for this empress. Her words caused the faces of the citizens to change. They stared at Xiao Yulu in disbelief. They couldn't believe that their Empyrean fairy would say something so irresponsible. You are simply... Xiao Yinyan's breathing quickened, his chest rising and falling. He could no longer describe Xiao Yulu's selfishness and arrogance. Xiao Yulu snorted arrogantly, her red lips burning under her veil. Big brother, let's continue. I also want to see the strength of a young genius. She slid down. The flames on her body surged again. A hurricane-like attack fell again. Xiao Yinyan instinctively activated the dark force in his body, wanting to fight back. But his gaze fell on the citizens who had fallen to the ground. His counterattack paused for a moment. It was just a momentary pause. Xiao Yulu's violent dark force had already blasted over. Amidst the white light, it reflected Xiao Yulu's smug smile. Xiao Yinyan's face paled. He gritted his teeth and stood still, planning to take this attack for Pei Sheng. Just then, bang! A deep explosion sounded in the air. That ferocious attack was forcibly intercepted in midair. Immediately after, the attack dissipated in midair like smoke. Not a single trace was left behind. A slender figure appeared in midair where the profound strength had dissipated. The girl's light purple dress fluttered like a butterfly's wings. A white veil covered her beautiful face. In her hand, there was a fan that looked like a raging flame. On the fan, there was clearly a visible fluctuation of profound strength, which was spreading out in all directions. Xiao Yinyan's eyes were filled with shock when he saw the scene before him. The surrounding citizens were also stunned by this shocking and surprising scene. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the slender figure that had suddenly appeared. How is this possible? Xiao Yulu took 2 steps back in shock. How could you possibly break through my power? She was able to successfully carve out a place for herself among thousands of women in the Linglong Palace and successfully climb to the position of the mysterious fairy. It was enough to prove her strength. Even the other 2 Empyrean fairies wouldn't dare to guarantee that they would be able to easily break through her attack. But the girl in front of them did it. Chapter 35-32. When did the treasure gathering violate the bet? Why didn't I know about it? The young lady's clear and melodious voice was pleasant to listen to. That light purple dress fluttered, dazzling one's eyes. Yiqing Luo's feet landed steadily in front of Qiao Yinyan. Her hair, which was not tied up or tied up, was hanging down loosely. Her long and narrow eyes curved slightly, outlining the outline of a demonic arc. The white veil covered half of her face. The young lady's pink lips could be vaguely seen, adding some mysterious demonic charm to the young lady. Xiao Yulu's sight was instantly attracted by the young lady in front. Her face suddenly darkened. The bottom of her eyes gathered a whirlpool which couldn't be dispersed. Everyone could see that, although the young lady was wearing a veil, covering half of her face. But even so, it couldn't cover up the young lady's gorgeous beauty. Especially, she was also wearing a veil. When the two of them stood together, she was instantly suppressed by a few levels. Originally, she was still considered a beauty of the generation, with an ethereal air. After comparing with the young lady in front of her, she had completely become a foil. This knowledge made Xiao Yulu's 5 fingers suddenly clenched into a fist. Princess Kai Dai, who was next to her, when she saw that person, her expression changed slightly. It's her. At that time on the way back to the Qiao family, the little beggar, at that time, I felt that this young lady's eyes looked like a fox, so I let the old maid who followed the princess from Linglong Palace bring her to the alley to secretly settle it. But this young lady, not only did she not die, but also extremely arrogantly jumped around, sowing enmity with Princess Yulu. In the afternoon, after Kai Dai heard about the bet, she specially went to the alley where the old maid left to confirm whether that young lady was the little beggar she saw earlier. When she reached the alley, what she found were the 2 old maids' corpses. According to the situation at the scene, that was 2 old maids killing each other, causing both of them to die. But Kai Dai thought it must be that young lady who did it. Useless thing. Xiao Yulu regained her senses and gave Kai Dai a slap on the face. Kai Dai was sent flying, but she still struggled to climb up, kneeling on the ground. It's this servant's fault. It's this servant's fault. Princess, please calm your anger. Don't harm your body. Xiao Yulu vented all the resentment in her stomach on this slap. As soon as Kai Dai opened her mouth, she spat out mouthfuls of blood. However, Kai Dai still didn't care. He kept kowtowing and apologizing. Fresh blood stained the ground beneath her. If you want to put on this kind of master-servant drama, do it in your Qiao family. Don't pollute the air in front of the treasure-gathering exchange hall. Yiqing Luo sneered as her pink lips curled up, her eyes filled with contempt. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you've hooked onto this consort's big brother. Xiao Yulu gritted her teeth as she stared furiously at Yiqing Luo. You dare to say that you didn't go against our bet? Of course I dare. Yiqing Luo opened her mouth without any hesitation as she lazily raised the corners of her eyes. Mysterious Maiden didn't allow any explanation and rushed to the treasure gathering, beating and scolding, and even wanted to make a move on the treasure gathering's boss, forcefully demolishing the treasure gathering. She raised her wrist. Her fair, slender fingers gently pressed against her lower jaw. The auction has yet to officially start. Mysterious Maiden couldn't wait to find trouble. Could it be that she felt that she would definitely lose and wanted to find a way out for herself? As she said that, she clicked her tongue. Chapter 35-33. TSK. Even if Mysterious Maiden loses this bet, at most you just have to kneel down and shout that you're a waste. This isn't painful or itchy, and you won't lose a few kilograms of flesh. She sighed again. I'm not like you. If you lose, you'll lose your entire person. Following that, she raised her head again. Her long and narrow eyes looked at Xiao Yulu with sincerity as she spoke in a considerate manner. Since Mysterious Maiden can't afford to lose, then I'll reluctantly let you off. This bet, let's call it off. From the start to the end, Yiqing Luo didn't give Xiao Yulu's side any chance to speak. She continued talking on her own. Xiao Yulu's face twisted, looking at Xiao Yulu's malevolent face, which couldn't even be concealed by the veil. Yiqing Luo started to laugh unkindly. The feeling of occasionally being a flourishing white lotus wasn't bad at all, especially this kind of disgusting smile, and then looking at the other party, being disgusted till she couldn't rebuke. It was simply too satisfying. What are you hinting at? Xiao Yulu bellowed angrily. This lady can't afford to lose? It's obviously you who have violated the bet between us. You've already lost. Yiqing Luo tilted her head as she blinked. Did I hint at anything? Mysterious maiden must be feeling guilty, so you're thinking too much. Her words came to a halt as her smile suddenly froze on her face. Her pair of long and narrow eyes became sharp and fierce. Her entire aura, at this moment, was suddenly unleashed. Mysterious maiden keeps saying that I violated the bet, then. Will Mysterious maiden please explain clearly? How did I violate the bet, causing Mysterious maiden to personally come over to the Treasures Exchange Hall, wanting to demolish the place, and to make a move on Pei Sheng? Her sharp aura caused people to be frightened. If Mysterious maiden is unable to give a suitable reason, I will definitely pursue the matter of Mysterious maiden coming over to the Treasures Exchange Hall today. Xiao Yulu's expression turned sinister because of Yiqing Luo's words, as she forcefully wiped out that immortal qi in her body. Standing in front of Yiqing Luo, facing her who had unleashed her aura, that was even more inconspicuous. Xiao Yulu's expression turned even uglier. Everything that was happening right now was completely different from the life she had imagined after returning to Without Embroiling City. This was the first day she had returned to Without Embroiling City as the Empyrean Fairy. He would become a laughingstock. Her prestige had been completely destroyed in an instant. All of this was because of that bitch. Xiao Yulu stared fiercely at Yiqing Luo as her beautiful eyes were filled with murderous intent. The bet between us. You had personally agreed that the items auctioned in the Treasure Gathering Trading Hall's auction, Hell Palace, and Xiao family will absolutely not interfere. She raised her hand and pointed angrily at Xiao Yinan. But you seduced my older brother and attempted to use him to seize the honor of being the best trading house this time. The fact that this consort's older brother is in the Treasures Gathering Exchange is the best evidence. When Yiqing Luo heard that, she couldn't help but burst out laughing. Mysterious maiden, is there a hole in your brain? Let's not talk about the fact that the Qiao family couldn't interfere in our bet, right? Let's just say that Yin Yin is here. He didn't provide any auction items from Treasure Gathering, nor did he provide a single crystal stone from Treasure Gathering. So how can he be considered to have interfered in our bet? Her gaze swept past the citizens who were crowding around. Her gaze fell onto several citizens who had fainted on the ground. Chapter 35-34. This was also the reason why Yiqing Luo started from the beginning. The reason why she only let Xiao Yinyan do the manual work. It was to prevent Xiao Yulu from finding excuses to act shamelessly. But Yiqing Luo really didn't expect this. The auction hadn't even started yet. Xiao Yulu couldn't wait to rush over. TSK. She really didn't know this kind of brain. How did she become Without Embroiling City's Mysterious maiden? Or could it be that Xiao Yulu was afraid of her from the bottom of her heart? So once she found an opportunity, she immediately wanted to deal with her, in case she gave her a chance to develop. Yiqing Luo's long and narrow eyes curved. If Mysterious maiden can't afford to lose and wants to find an excuse to disrupt the bet between us, then she should find a better reason. Slut, don't keep saying that I can't afford to lose and pour dirty water on me. Do you think I don't know your dirty thoughts? Xiao Yulu flew into a rage out of humiliation. Yiqing Luo's eyes were cold as she crossed her arms over her chest. Her brows seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. Who is the one splashing dirty water? Who is the one with dirty thoughts? Everyone can see it clearly. She raised her chin slightly. The veil was attached to her lower jaw. The lines were soft, and the outline was soft. One could almost imagine what kind of beauty the young lady had under the veil. The young lady's eyes were still half closed, and her expression was lazy, giving off a kind of arrogant feeling, as if she didn't put Xiao Yulu in her eyes. You're still quibbling. Xiao Yulu was so angry that she lost all rationality from Yi Qing Luo's attitude. She could even feel that the eyes of the surrounding citizens were filled with disdain and contempt as they looked at her. It shouldn't be like this. She should be high and mighty, enjoying everyone's admiration. Xiao Yulu's eyes were red, and her gloomy eyes were filled with a cold, murderous intent. "Slut! I want to kill you, slut!" She roared as her figure moved swiftly, and her entire body burst out in flames. That strong flame almost caused the surrounding air to fall into a crack. Even the citizens could see with their naked eyes the ripples in the air. Wherever the chi wave went, there was a huge explosion. The citizens' faces turned pale. Their bodies felt like they were being crushed by a heavy mountain. The 5 viscera and 6 bowels in his chest were being squeezed by an invisible force. Therefore, it was said that one had to be cautious when reading gossip. If one was not careful, they might accidentally get into trouble. Xiao Yulu. Seeing this, Xiao Yinyan anxiously roared Xiao Yulu's name. His face darkened. "Do you really want to turn without embroiling city into a mess before you stop?" Xiao Yinyan glared at Xiao Yulu. He took a big step forward and was about to release his dark force to force Xiao Yulu back. Just as he took a step, his shoulder was gently pressed by a small hand. "Yinyan, her target is me." The young girl pressed down on his shoulder and slowly walked past him. Facing the raging hurricane and the terrifying airwave, she walked straight ahead. That clear and melodious voice reverberated in his ears. Xiao Yinyan's pupils instantly contracted. His fingers reflexively tried to grab the girl in front of him. But the moment he stretched out his hand, the girl had already walked a few steps away. His hand grabbed nothing but air. "Luo, you're not her." Xiao Yinyan's urgent voice came to an abrupt halt, because he saw the moment the girl's figure merged into the hurricane that Xiao Yulu had created. He saw the girl suddenly raise her leg and kick Xiao Yulu's abdomen. She was as fast as lightning, and the kick was very powerful. Chapter 35:35. Bam! A loud thud resounded, accompanied by Xiao Yulu's screams. Xiao Yulu landed heavily on the ground. There was even a shallow pit on the ground. Xiao Yulu coughed violently and spat out mouthfuls of blood. Yi Qing Luo slowly retracted her leg and tilted her head, her eyes curved. "Since you want to fight, why bother with so many fancy moves? Isn't it obvious that you are just standing there waiting for me to beat you?" Xiao Yulu was so angry that her chest hurt even more when she heard this, and blood kept surging up. She opened her mouth several times, but all she spat out was a mouthful of blood. Xiao Yinyan, he really didn't know what kind of expression to use to face this matter. He originally thought that Luo wouldn't be Princess Yulu's opponent at all. Unexpectedly, Luo would take advantage of the time when Princess Yulu was still releasing her profound energy to directly kick her. Well, what Luo said did make sense. On the battlefield, the enemy wouldn't wait for you to release your profound energy. They would set up their formation and then fight with you openly. "Lass, you are too valiant." Even Old Man Song in the Azure Dew bracelet was shocked by Yi Qing Luo's actions. Old Man Song expressed that no matter where his daughter went, she would always be awesome. His heart was so tired. This realm couldn't be compared to Nirvana realm. Yi Qing Luo's strength was indeed not the top in the realm, especially when facing Xiao Yulu. Xiao Yulu could become without embroiling city's mysterious fairy and dare to challenge the 15th grade sage, profound genius Xiao Yinyan, which was enough to show that her strength was not below Xiao Yinyan. But Yi Qing Luo's actions, Old Man Song couldn't help but facepalm. If there were any accidents, that Dizun brat would definitely tear his old bones apart with his bare hands. "I'm not stupid. Of course I have to take advantage of her arrogance and reveal a flaw to directly deal a heavy blow. If I don't break her chi, when she really starts to fight, I will be dead meat." Yi Qing Luo curled her lips. She naturally knew the gap between her and Xiao Yulu's strength. It was also because of Xiao Yulu's confidence. She had to show how powerful her strength was, creating all kinds of hurricanes, pressure, profound waves, etc. to set off. Only then would she have the chance to destroy Xiao Yulu's pretentious act with a kick. It wasn't that she was tough, but rather that she was sinister. He could only blame Xiao Yulu for being silly. Bitch, how dare you attack Princess Yulu? Do you know what Princess Yulu represents? Yu. The city lord will definitely not let you off. Yu Jiwen rushed to Xiao Yulu's side and supported her. Yi Qing Luo curled her lips lazily. Remember this well. My name is Di Luo, and I'm now a partner of the conglomerate exchange. If you still have such a cheap mouth, I don't mind teaching you some manners. Yu Jiwen's eyes were filled with rage as she stared at Yi Qing Luo, but she didn't dare to say the word slut. In the morning, she had already suffered a huge loss in Yi Qing Luo's hands. She still remembered that feeling. She was relying on Xiao Yulu. And now, Xiao Yulu had fallen. What should she do? Yu Jiwen was angry, but towards Yi Qing Luo, she had an instinctive fear. While she was cowering, she suddenly caught a glimpse of a figure in the crowd. Chapter 35-36. What nonsense are you talking about? Pei Sheng's face turned pale. Third miss you, what are you thinking? How dare you slander Ah Luo? Am I not speaking the truth? I think you've colluded with people from other cities to betray without embroiling city. Yu Jiwen roared coldly. All these years, Pei Sheng had been silently enduring all the abuse, suspicion, and accusations. Faced with Yu Jiwen's accusation, he didn't know how to deal with it. His face was red, full of humiliation and anger. You're slandering me. Enough. What's with the noise? A calm and majestic voice came from the crowd. Immediately, Castellan Lu, dressed in a luxurious robe, strode over. Castellan Lu's face was livid, and his eyebrows were full of anger. What's going on? Why are they fighting again? Yu Jiwen cried out as soon as she saw Castellan Lu. Castellan Lu, look at Sister Yulu. She wants to kill her. Castellan Lu's gaze fell on Xiao Yulu, who was lying in Yu Jiwen's arms and vomiting blood. His expression changed drastically. What happened to Princess Yulu? Who dared to hurt her like this? Quick, someone, bring Princess Yulu to Without Wong Medical Hall. He directly ignored the her Yu Jiwen mentioned. A large group of people behind him squeezed forward to carry Xiao Yulu. At the forefront was a man in his 20s, dressed in luxurious robes. He stared at Xiao Yulu with naked lust. The man was about to carry Xiao Yulu from Yu Jiwen's arms, but he was stopped by a pair of hands. Thank you for your concern, young master. The princess is only used to being served by this servant. This servant can support the princess. Kai Dai was one step ahead of him and directly held Xiao Yulu in her arms. The man's expression immediately changed, and he was just about to speak. He was about to speak when Castellan Lu interrupted him. Kai Dai, I'll have to trouble you. Then, he looked at the man. Tian Che, why don't you lead the way for Kai Dai? The man called Tian Che looked a little pale. After exchanging glances with City Lord Lu, he gritted his teeth and strode out of the crowd. City Lord Lu ignored him and looked around angrily. Princess Yu Lu is the Empyrean Lady of Without Embroiling City. She represents Without Embroiling City. Who is it that injured Princess Yu Lu so badly? Are they looking down on Without Embroiling City? His eyes were like torches as he pointed around. Speak. Who is it? The citizens who were still conscious lowered their heads, not daring to speak. All of them shrank their necks and lowered their presence. He was afraid that he would be singled out by City Lord Lu for questioning. Finally, City Lord Lu looked at Xiao Yinyan. His voice softened a little, but his face was still filled with rage. Young Master Xiao, do you know who it is? How dare he attack Princess Yulu in Without Embroiling City? This person is definitely targeting Without Embroiling City. Xiao Yinyan's face darkened. His black eyes were as deep as ink as he stared at City Lord Lu. Yi Qing Luo, who had been watching the show for a long time, felt that City Lord Lu's acting was not bad, especially the part where he lied through his teeth and scolded indirectly. His acting couldn't be any more realistic. He was totally acting as himself. City Lord Lu probably knew about the situation here long ago. Now he was pretending to be completely unaware. Chapter 35-37. Was he trying to make use of the citizens' public opinion to target her? If it was any other time, this method might really work. But unfortunately, Xiao Yulu had already dug her own grave earlier. It was only the first day since she returned to Without Embroiling City. She hadn't gained enough favorable impression points in front of the citizens. She hadn't done anything that would make the citizens remember her in their hearts, touching them for a lifetime. She started to dig her own grave. The citizens didn't have any favorable impression towards this mysterious fairy. So how would she possibly react to City Lord Lu's hint? Would you be willing to follow a boss who treated you like an ant and didn't care about your life at all? No one was willing to be under someone else. Those who were willing to be under someone else was only because the other party had something that was worth it. Xiao Yulu didn't care about their lives. She even felt that even if they were to die, it would be their honor. Honor? Hee. Her face was filled with honor. They only wanted to live, not this honor. Because of this, no matter what Lord Lu was brainwashing them passionately, the citizens all kept a straight face and lowered their heads. Not willing to talk to City Lord Lu. Not daring to talk to him. Looking at City Lord Lu's gradually darkening face. Yiqing Luo crossed her arms and touched her chin with the other hand. The veil stuck to her contours, and her eyes were filled with evilness. This City Lord Lu's ambition wasn't small. If she didn't see wrongly, that man who looked to be in his 20s and had regular facial features but exuded a sense of lust should be City Lord Lu's son. She specially paid attention to him earlier. That man and City Lord Lu's brows had some similarities. TSK, knowing that there was a difference between a man and a woman. City Lord Lu even asked his son to carry Xiao Yulu to the medical hall in front of the citizens. Sima Zhao's intention was known to everyone. This City Lord Lu actually wanted Xiao Yulu to be his daughter-in-law. Under the watchful eyes of the public, Xiao Yulu was hugged intimately by City Lord Lu's son. Xiao Yulu's reputation would be completely ruined. Her life would be hung with Lu Tianche's name. Other than marrying Lu Tianche, she had no other choice. But the maid beside Xiao Yulu was quick-witted. However, if City Lord Lu wanted to, he was afraid that a maid wouldn't be able to stop his plan. If Xiao Yulu really got together with City Lord Lu's son, he felt that this show was quite exciting. Yiqing Luo mischievously thought. Young Master Xiao, City Lord Lu, who had not received a response for a long time, had a livid expression on his face. He abruptly shouted. Yiqing Luo regained her senses from the shock. Xiao Yinyan knitted his brows tightly. He had naturally guessed City Lord Lu's motive. He was about to speak. The girl's clear and melodious voice came from behind him. City Lord Lu, you've come the right time. I just happen to have something to discuss with you. Yiqing Luo slowly walked to the front of City Lord Lu as her long and narrow eyes curved slightly, smiling faintly at City Lord Lu. Seeing Yiqing Luo at such a close distance, City Lord Lu's pupils obviously contracted several times. Apparently, he was astonished by Yiqing Luo's breathtaking beauty and her extraordinary temperament. However, he quickly adjusted his expression and said, Misty, what can I do for you? Yiqing Luo raised her brows. TSK, he had been exposed again. If City Lord Lu didn't know what had happened here, then it was impossible for him to know that her surname was D. Chapter 35-38. City Lord Lu's lips curled into a smile. The bet between Miss D and Princess Yulu was just a verbal explanation, and there weren't any clear rules. He paused as a smile became even more refined. Miss D mentioned breaking the bet rules. We have to see which part of the rules are broken. Yiqing Luo, sly old fox. He actually played word games with her in such a serious and shameless manner. No wonder in the 21st century, everything had to be written clearly in black and white. So angry, but she still had to maintain her smile. Yiqing Luo smiled. Mysterious maiden brought people to the treasure gathering to create trouble, shouting to beat and kill, and even smashing the treasure exchange hall. Isn't that considered breaking the bet rules? City Lord Lu smiled as he looked at the treasure exchange hall and looked at Pei Sheng. Boss Pei isn't injured and the treasure exchange hall isn't smashed. This city lord cannot just rely on Misty's one-sided words and suspect Princess Yulu. Yiqing Luo. This ability to lie through one's teeth was really awesome. Yiqing Luo was able to maintain her composure when she heard this. But Pei Sheng couldn't hold it in. What one-sided words? I'm not injured and the treasure exchange wasn't smashed. That's because Luo protected me in the treasure exchange. You want evidence, isn't it? Look over there. Pei Sheng pointed to the surroundings. At those commoners who were injured because of Qiao Yulu, there were at least 100 of them lying on the ground. There were quite a number of them who were sitting weakly on the ground. Those people were injured by Princess Yulu. They are the witnesses. Pei Sheng's eyes widened as he gritted his teeth in anger. City Lord Lu only swept a glance as his smile remained unchanged. Really? He smiled as he looked at the commoners as he casually raised his hand. A guard casually grabbed a commoner and brought him over. The injuries on your body, who injured you? Is it Princess Yulu? City Lord Lu smiled as he looked at the commoners as he asked. The commoners' pupils dilated as their faces turned pale. Their eyes subconsciously looked towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Just one look, before they could express the emotions in their eyes. Their bodies suddenly felt a sharp pain. The commoners cried out in pain as they looked at City Lord Lu in terror. No, not Princess Yulu. Then who is it? Lord Lu looked at Yiqing Luo meaningfully. The citizens' faces turned even paler. However, even under the intense pain, the citizens still said in a hoarse voice, "This commoner hurt himself." Governor Lu's face sank slightly. Just as he was about to speak, a fragrant scent entered his nose. The girl's figure had unknowingly approached him. Yiqing Luo's slender hand was placed on that citizen's body. His fingers moved slightly. The citizens had already broken free from the suppression of the guards. Yiqing Luo supported the citizens as she calmly raised her eyes. Does City Lord Lu think I'm an idiot, or do you think I'm easy to bully just because I'm alone? You threatened the citizens in front of me and even wanted to smear my name. I don't know if the Empyrean Fairy will be grateful to you for scheming on her behalf. Her tone was full of sarcasm. Her long and narrow eyes were slightly raised. Amidst the coquettishness, there was a frightening cold glint. That gaze sent chills down Lord Lu's spine. He frowned and subconsciously took a step back. The expression on his face froze awkwardly. Chapter 35-39. City Lord Lu better be clear that the reason why I agreed to this so-called bet is because of the Qiao family. She asked Pei Sheng to help the injured citizens down as she walked straight towards City Lord Lu, getting close to him, bringing along an oppressive pressure. City Lord Lu took another step back. A sliver of fear flashed past his steely green face. This young lady, her aura was so strong to such an extent. Seeing the young lady getting closer, his entire body emitted a chilly intent, just as she was one step away from City Lord Lu. Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks as she raised her head slightly. A pair of crafty eyes, as deep as a lake, was locked onto City Lord Lu. City Lord Lu, you know that I am a guest to the Hell Palace. To be able to get to know the Hell Palace means that I am not a normal person. Her lips curled slightly as her voice was chilly. If you force me into a corner, I don't mind bringing the Hell Palace to play around in without embroiling City. Anyway, this so-called bet is just a verbal explanation and there are no actual rules, so I can totally ignore it. Her voice paused slightly. Her long and narrow eyes curved into an arc, looking even more devilish. You know, when the Hell Palace's people go crazy, there's no way to stop them. You could try and see if the Ling Long Palace will lend a helping hand. You. City Lord Lu's face flushed red as he recalled the Hell Palace's senior, who listened to Yiqing Luo's every word. All his anger was suppressed deep in his heart. This young lady was really vengeful. Using what he said, she returned it back to him. Unfortunately, the powerhouse behind her was the Hell Palace, which no one dared to offend. City Lord Lu's face was steely green. What do you want? I give Mysterious Maiden 2 choices. Yiqing Luo smiled as she raised one finger. First, Mysterious Maiden goes against the rules of the bet, which can be considered as losing the bet between us in advance. She admits defeat and does what she promised me. Make Xiao Yulu kneel down and shout 3 times that she was a waste? This was impossible. City Lord Lu pursed his lips as his face turned steely green. And the second choice? Second. Yiqing Luo raised up a finger once again. Mysterious Maiden will apologize for slandering Pei Sheng and slandering the treasures today, and guarantee that before the auction, she will not commit any more mistakes. This bet, I will be merciful, and continue to bet with her. Let Xiao Yilu apologize? That was impossible. How could Xiao Yilu choose between these two options? He seemed to have seen through City Lord Lu's thoughts. Yiqing Luo kindly reminded, if Mysterious Maiden hasn't given a choice by tomorrow morning, then I shall be merciful and help her make the third choice, which is what I said earlier. Let the seniors from Hell Palace come to Without Embroiling City and enjoy City Lord Lu's hospitality. Yiqing Luo expressed that she was using her power to bully others, while Old Lai was not here. It felt good to use Old Lai's name to intimidate others. As expected, when she said the third option, it was too late. City Lord Lu's eyes were ignited with anger as his steely green face stared at Yiqing Luo in shock, as though he couldn't wait to skin Yiqing Luo alive. Yiqing Luo shrugged her shoulders indifferently. City Lord Lu better go back and discuss with Mysterious Maiden first. Don't show such a scary look, as though I've bullied you. Her slender fingers touched the corner of her lips as she covered her mouth and gave a light laugh. The veil was like a thin wing, which was even nicer to look at with her creamy fingers. Chapter 3540. City Lord Lu was so infuriated that his entire body was tensed up. His fists were clenched so tightly that his veins were popping out. His chest was heaving up and down violently. I will pass on your words to Princess Yulu without missing a single word. Remember, it's tomorrow morning. Yiqing Luo beamed as she repeated with a heavy tone. City Lord Lu turned around and was about to leave. Yiqing Luo continued to smile. City Lord Lu, wait a minute. What else do you want? City Lord Lu paused in his footsteps as he gritted his teeth and squeezed out a sentence. He was obviously infuriated. He didn't even turn his head back. Yiqing Luo didn't care about City Lord Lu's emotions as she pointed to the side where the citizens were lying on the ground. As Without Embroiling City's City Lord, shouldn't you be responsible for the citizens' injuries? City Lord Lu turned around abruptly as he stared angrily at Yiqing Luo. Since I'm sitting in this position, then I should be responsible for it. Yiqing Luo met his vengeful gaze indifferently. All your glory now comes from your citizens. If anything happens to them, you as the City Lord will not be able to escape the blame. City Lord Lu clenched his teeth as his lips moved. In the end, he didn't say a single word. City Lord Lu. Xiao Yin walked out from behind Yiqing Luo. I feel that what Luo said is right. Since you're the City Lord of Without Embroiling City, then you should be responsible for the citizens' safety. His brows sunk as he gave off a threatening cold intent. City Lord Lu, the citizens' injuries are related to me, so I hope City Lord can take good care of them. My Qiao family will also send someone to take care of them. But I have something to say first. He paused slightly as his brows grew fiercer. If anything happens to these citizens, my Qiao family will blame it on City Lord. I hope City Lord will take good care of them. Young Master Qiao, are you threatening me? City Lord Lu's face sunk as his eyes turned cold. He was being berated and threatened by two juniors while pointing at his nose. City Lord Lu felt as if his face had been pressed against the wall and slapped by these two juniors. Xiao Yinyan's expression remained unchanged. I don't dare to. I'm just reminding you. Good, good, very good. It's great that the Qiao family has a kind-hearted young master like you. City Lord Lu pointed at Xiao Yinyan and sneered. After that, he flicked his sleeve forcefully, turned around, and charged out of the crowd. The surrounding citizens looked at Lord Lu's back as he left. He looked at Yiqing Luo and Xiao Yinyan fearfully. Don't worry, the City Lord will immediately arrange for people to take care of you, Xiao Yinyan comforted. What the citizens had experienced today had completely overturned the worldview that they had lived with for so many years. The Empyrean Fairy of Without Embroiling City didn't care about their lives at all. The City Lord of Without Embroiling City didn't care about them at all. On the contrary, that girl called Di Luo and young Master Chiao would bear the pressure of offending the Castellan and falling out with him for the sake of their safety. Upon hearing Xiao Yinyan's words of consolation, the citizens' resentment towards City Lord Lu and Xiao Yilu deepened. Yiqing Luo asked Pei Sheng to help Xiao Yinyan to take care of those commoners before the doctors arrived. This was also a way to build a good impression. Moreover, Pei Sheng's character was more sincere. Although the citizens' attitude towards Pei Sheng was usually full of sarcasm and ridicule, totally not showing any good expressions. Chapter 35:41. As long as their hearts were made of flesh, their attitude towards Pei Sheng would soften, until the people arranged by the city lord came over to carry the citizens to the clinic. Yiqing Luo then walked back to the treasure house. Xiao Yinyan followed him in. I thought you wouldn't let Princess Yulu off so easily. Everyone could see that. Xiao Yulu was deliberately targeting her. Furthermore, Yiqing Luo could make use of this opportunity to cancel the bet between her and Xiao Yulu. After all, this bet was too unfair to Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways and smiled at Xiao Yinyan. Do you think that I will deal with your sister and City Lord Lu? Xiao Yinyan was silent for a moment before he said, from the moment she became Princess Yulu, she was no longer the second miss of the Qiao family. You and family head Qiao don't seem to approve of her becoming without embroiling city's Empyrean fairy? Yiqing Luo's brows rose as she was a little puzzled. Isn't Mysterious Maiden's position above the city lord to gain glory for your Qiao family? Isn't that so? The expression on Xiao Yinyan's handsome face changed subtly. His thin lips pursed slightly, and there was another period of silence, as if he was hesitating. After a long time, he slowly said, the Empyrean fairy looks beautiful on the surface, but in reality, she's devoid of humanity. Yiqing Luo was stunned. Why do you say that? Xiao Yinyan's lips moved, but in the end, he didn't say anything. He just shook his head. I'm a little hungry. Let's go to a restaurant to fill our stomachs. She knew that Xiao Yinyan was intentionally avoiding the topic. Yiqing Luo didn't continue to ask. After all, this was a family matter of the Qiao family. She smiled. I've already prepared some simple dishes in the back hall. Let's go in and eat first. You did it yourself? Xiao Yinyan's black pupils suddenly congealed as he looked deeply at Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo nodded. It's been hard on you and Asheng today. A simple meal is to repay your help. Xiao Yinyan's eyes flickered with light. The smile at the corner of his mouth did not disappear for a long time. The two of them entered the treasure-gathering hall one after the other. Yiqing Luo had just served the dishes on the table. Gu Zishi and Old Lai came in with 2 big baskets of herbs. Gu Zishi put down the basket and wiped the sweat off her forehead. What's going on outside? Why are there so many citizens lying on the ground? Just as the words left his mouth, she suddenly stopped wiping her sweat. Could it be that Princess Yulu's side purposely sent people over to defame treasure gathering and accuse it of harming those citizens? Yiqing Luo passed both of them a cup of tea. This matter indeed has something to do with Mysterious Maiden and City Lord Lu, but it's not what you think. Gu Zishi took the teacup and drank it in one gulp. When she tasted the strange taste in the tea, a trace of astonishment flashed across her eyes. You added the powder of the elemental energy pill in the tea? Yes. Yiqing Luo put down the teapot. This elemental energy pill is personally refined by me. Its effect is different from the ones bought in the medicine shop. You've all worked hard today. Replenish your energy well. You still have to be busy tomorrow. Gu Zishi nodded thoughtfully. Her vision paused on Chi-Chi, who was curled up on the chair with her eyes squinted, and that teapot. She then walked towards the dining table and casually pulled out a chair to sit down. Brother Sheng is outside taking care of those citizens. Did you ask him to go? Chapter 35:42. Gu Zishi's red lips moved, but eventually she lowered her head and didn't say a word. Yiqing Luo asked Old Lai to sit over, and the 4 of them started to eat. Gu Zishi was apparently distracted as she ate a few mouthfuls and looked towards the door, about the time it took to burn a stick of incense. Pei Sheng walked in while wiping his sweat. On seeing Gu Zishi, his exhausted face revealed a joyous smile. Zishi, you're back. Are you hurt anywhere? He hurried forward and worriedly held Gu Zishi's hand as he sized her up. Gu Zishi's tensed expression finally relaxed as her brows revealed a smile. She took out a handkerchief from her bosom and wiped the sweat on Pei Sheng's forehead. I'm fine. Are you tired? Not tired. Pei Sheng's eyes were sparkling, and although his face was tired, but one could tell that he was very happy. Gu Zishi's smile deepened as she wiped his forehead bit by bit, whereas her other hand was still held tightly by Pei Sheng. This scene fell into the eyes of the few people at the dining table, causing a meaningful smile to surface on their faces. Yiqing Luo propped her chin as her long and narrow eyes were filled with laziness. From the atmosphere between the two of them, they indeed didn't look like ordinary siblings. Moreover, looking at that handshake and the action of wiping sweat, it was extremely familiar. Apparently they had done this frequently in the past. By the time the sweat on Pei Sheng's forehead had been wiped clean, Pei Sheng turned his head and looked at Yiqing Luo. Ah Luo, the citizens outside have already been carried to the medical hall. What else do I need to do next? Eat something first. Yiqing Luo pointed at the dishes on the table. After you fill your stomach, ask Zishi to boil some medicine to regulate your internal injuries. You personally bring it to the medical hall and send it over to the citizens. Gu Zishi's brows creased. We've already taken care of them and sent them to the medical hall. That's considered as being extremely benevolent. Why do we still need to waste the medicinal herbs to boil medicine for them? She pursed her lips as her expression was displeased. Ever since Zhu Bao met with a mishap 5 years ago, none of these so-called neighbors extended a helping hand, and no one said a single word for Zhu Bao. Especially these few years, they had been ridiculing Zhu Bao and ridiculing us. Why do we have to think for them at this time? Zishi, Pei Sheng glanced at Gu Zishi, and a trace of guilt flashed across her eyes. I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing to me? They're the ones in the wrong, not you. Gu Zishi raised her hand and knocked Pei Sheng's head. Yiqing Luo didn't open her mouth as she quietly listened to Gu Zishi's complaints. When Gu Zishi's line of sight fell on her, she then said lightly, Ah Sheng, do you want to send the medicine? Gu Zishi's expression changed. Brother Sheng is too kind. Aren't you asking him to deliver the medicine? Do you know why I asked Ah Sheng to send the medicine himself? Yiqing Luo looked at Gu Zishi's protective expression as she couldn't help but asked with a smile. Gu Zishi gripped Pei Sheng's wrist tightly. No matter what the reason is, I don't want Brother Sheng to do something so strenuous and unrewarding. Those people don't know how to be grateful. If I don't do it, how would I know that it's a thankless task? How do you know that they really don't know how to be grateful? Yiqing Luo propped up her chin as she smiled at her. Gu Zishi pursed her lips tightly and didn't say a word. The atmosphere turned heavy momentarily. Pei Sheng looked at Yiqing Luo, who was all smiles, and took a look at Gu Zishi, whose face was filled with unhappiness. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something to break the deadlock. Chapter 35:43. Actually, I also agree with Luo's opinion. Xiao Yinyan saw that both parties were in a deadlock and coughed lightly, trying to smooth things over. The few of them looked towards Xiao Yinyan. Xiao Yinyan explained, the reason why treasure gathering became like this in the past 5 years is all because of its reputation. The reputation of treasure gathering is deeply rooted, and to change everyone's impression, we can only do it step by step. As the current boss of treasure gathering, everything that Brother Pei has done is on behalf of the treasure gathering. He paused and continued. Do you know why the citizens were injured at the entrance of treasure gathering? Gu Zishi pursed her lips and shook her head. Xiao Yinyan explained what had happened in a concise manner. Princess Yulu wants to kill Brother Sheng. Gu Zishi's expression suddenly turned gloomy as a sinister, murderous intent surfaced between her brows. But that murderous intent disappeared in a flash, so fast that it was impossible to capture it. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered slightly as her vision fell on Gu Zishi's face and shifted away. Xiao Yinyan continued. What Princess Yulu and City Lord Lu did today was to dig their own graves. wiping away the citizens' reverence and respect towards them bit by bit. Moreover, City Lord Lu and Princess Yulu had suffered a loss in Aluo's hands, so they must be filled with anger right now. They didn't care about the lives of the citizens. Naturally, they wouldn't think of putting on a superficial act to care about those citizens. But at this time, Brother Pei took care of them regardless of the past enmity and even sent the medicine to regulate their internal injuries. The citizens had a comparison in their hearts, and their gratitude towards Brother Pei grew even more. Coupled with their misunderstanding towards the treasure-gathering sect and their ridicule towards all of you, it will cause them to feel a trace of guilt towards Brother Pei and the treasure-gathering sect. Gu Zixi expression gradually eased up. She looked at Yi Qing Luo and looked at Xiao Yinyan. What you said is true. Xiao Yinyan smiled and took a look at Yi Qing Luo. Gu Zixi knew what he meant as her face turned slightly hot as she looked at Yi Qing Luo in embarrassment. "Ah Luo," what young Master Qiao said. "Is it true?" He still left something out. Yi Qing Luo smiled mysteriously. "What?" Xiao Yinyan raised his head abruptly, his silver hair falling from his face. Yi Qing Luo smiled. "While you're at it, give Zixi some medicine." Everyone was startled. Gu Zixi thought of the prescription that Yi Qing Luo gave her, and her pupils suddenly enlarged. You want to let treasure gathering to make a name for itself in terms of medicinal pills. This is just the beginning. Yi Qing Luo nodded and then shook her head. We must change the reputation of gathering treasures before we have the capital to start from other areas. Gu Zixi blushed, her eyes full of guilt and embarrassment. "Ah Luo, I'm sorry." "It's all right. I know that you care too much about Ashang." Yi Qing Luo smiled as she shook her head. Anyone could see Gu Zixi's feelings for Pei Sheng. Naturally, he couldn't bear to see Pei Sheng suffer any grievances. That was why he was so against Yi Qing Luo's suggestion. Of course, Yi Qing Luo wouldn't get angry at Gu Zixi because of this. The disturbance caused by the Empyrean Fairy and City Lord Lu has actually given us an excellent opportunity to turn things around. So, let's seize the time and make a good impression on them. Chapter 35-44. Looking at the energetic Yi Qing Luo, Xiao Yinyan pointed at himself. "What about me?" Yi Qing Luo smiled at him. "Eldest young Master Qiao will of course return to the Qiao family to rest. Treasure gathering is too small, even old Lai, and I don't have a place to sleep. Don't tell me eldest young Master Qiao wants to stay and share a bed with Asheng." Xiao Yinyan. He chose to reject. The two of them who were still eating only reacted when they heard Yi Qing Luo's words. Treasure gathering was too small. Other than the main hall, there were only 2 bedrooms for resting and a very narrow courtyard. There was indeed no place for Yi Qing Luo and Old Lai to stay. Pei Sheng immediately put down his bowl and chopsticks and stood up, wiping his hands in embarrassment. "So, sorry, I didn't think so much. If it's like this, you stay in Zixi's room. I will pile up some grass in the courtyard and sleep." "I sleep in Zixi's room. What about Zixi?" Yi Qing Luo's lips curled into a teasing smile. Pei Sheng apparently didn't notice. "Zixi will sleep in my room. She used to sleep here often. It's fine." Yi Qing Luo let out a long "oh" as her narrow eyes squinted. Following that, she looked at Gu Zixi with a smile, which didn't look like a smile. Gu Zixi blushed at the sight of his piercing gaze. Gu Zixi buried her head and forcefully ate a few mouthfuls of rice before she raised her head and spoke in a low voice. "It's all right, you can stay in my room. I'll be gathering herbs at West Cliff Mountain these few days." "This is too dangerous. I won't allow it." Pei Sheng immediately objected. "It's already dangerous in the day. Wouldn't it be even more dangerous at night?" "Brother Sheng, don't worry." Gu Zixi put down her chopsticks and shook her head at Pei Sheng. "I promise you that I will not let myself fall into danger. So, I will definitely do it." "Zixi." Pei Sheng frowned as his face was solemn. Gu Zixi gave him a smile. "If it wasn't to ensure my safety, I wouldn't tell you about this. Do you still remember that I saved a mercenary group leader previously?" Pei Sheng nodded. "You're talking about the leader of Bloody Mercenaries, a gold-ranked mercenary group, ranked 2nd on the mercenary group rankings?" The Bloody Mercenary Group has a few missions to enter the West Cliff Mountain these few days. I took the opportunity to mention it to the leader, and he agreed to bring me along and protect me. Gu Zishi patted his hand. With the Bloody Mercenary Group protecting me, I'll be fine. Pei Sheng's expression changed slightly, but he still looked at Gu Zishi worriedly. He did not want to agree. Receiving Gu Zishi's gaze, Yiqing Luo cleared her throat. Cough. I'm in favor of Zishi go to the West Cliff Mountain to pick herbs. Right? Even Luo agreed. Gu Zishi hugged Pei Sheng's arm and rested her head on his shoulder. Brother Sheng, I'm not just doing this for the treasure collection. First, we don't have extra crystal stones. It's more cost-effective to buy the herbs on the prescription list and go to the West Cliff Mountain to pick them. Secondly, under the protection of the Bloody Mercenary Group, I can go deeper into the West Cliff Mountain. I might be able to break through to the apothecary rank. Her head nuzzled against Pei Sheng's shoulder. Just promise me. The woman's soft body leaned against his side. The woman's soft voice rang in his ear. Pei Sheng's handsome face couldn't help but blush. He knew that between him and Gu Zishi, there was a difference between a man and a woman, and they shouldn't be so intimate. Chapter 35:45. In his eyes, the lady's pretty and exquisite face kept enlarging. Pei Sheng's heart seemed to have been pierced by something. His brain lost all consciousness in an instant. All right, a word came out of his mouth. Then, the woman wrapped her arms around his neck and said happily in his ear, I know Brother Sheng treats me the best. I'll definitely protect myself and ensure my safety. Then, I'll return to Brother Sheng's side safely. Pei Sheng then regained his senses in a daze. He just promised Gu Zishi? Why did he promise Gu Zishi such a dangerous thing? Seduction? These 4 words flashed across his mind. Pei Sheng's entire face suddenly turned red. He suddenly pushed Gu Zishi, who was leaning in his arms, away, and stood up. His entire face was flushed red. Both hands were opened and clenched tightly, hanging awkwardly on both sides. He didn't even dare to look at Gu Zishi. I'm done eating. I'll go in and change first. Saying that, without waiting for Gu Zishi's response, he hurriedly rushed into the backyard. Brother Sheng. Gu Zishi chased up to him, but when she saw Pei Sheng's back disappearing in front of her eyes, she stopped in her tracks. She stretched out her hand to hold Pei Sheng's hand, but it slowly drooped down. Yiqing Luo walked over and patted her shoulder lightly. We've waited for so many years, so there's no need to rush this moment. Now that he's able to realize that he's blushing in front of you, this also represents that the relationship between the both of you has taken a step forward. Gu Zishi was like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bough as she suddenly raised her head and took a step back. Her cheeks flushed red. Her beautiful eyes were filled with shock as she looked at Yiqing Luo. How did you know? The way you look at him, it's very obvious. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. I've been through it. I know how you feel. You can't rush things. Give him some time to adapt. Been through it. Gu Zishi was stunned. You look younger than me. Don't tell me you're already betrothed? When Gu Zishi asked this question, Gu Zishi's expression changed. Xiao Yinyan, who was sitting by the side, immediately looked over. His gaze was very obvious. The 2 women could feel it. Not just betrothed, she is... Lao Lai, who had eaten and drunk to his heart's content, clicked his tongue. Before he could finish, he was interrupted by Yiqing Luo. I'm not married yet. Not betrothed? Lady D, if your words... Lao Lai couldn't sit still anymore. Yiqing Luo was the Overlord's future wife. The future Imperial Madam. She denied that she was the Overlord's wife? Could it be... Was she trying to seduce other men when the Overlord was not around? For example, young Master Qiao. Lao Lai widened his eyes and glared at Xiao Yinyan. Under the black robe, the terrifying face was extremely twisted, coupled with that sinister look in his eyes. It was even more terrifying. Xiao Yinyan, who was being stared at for no reason, was speechless. No matter how strong Xiao Yinyan's mental fortitude was. Looking at old Lai's face, which was full of terrifying cracks, he was a little startled. But most of his attention was still on Yiqing Luo. Luo, since you're not married, Why do you say that you've been through it? Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes and smiled lightly. Because I know very well the feeling of liking someone. Gu Zishi and Qiao Yinyan were stunned. Chapter 35:46. When a young lady talked about liking someone, the lines on her face became extremely gentle. All the thorns on her body and that innate aura faded away. All the expressions had turned into tenderness. Her half-lidded eyes were filled with intoxicating tenderness. Everyone could see that. How deep and sincere was the young lady's love for the person she was talking about. That person is. Gu Zishi widened her eyes in surprise and looked at Yiqing Luo curiously. He is my fiancé. Yiqing Luo smiled gently. Fiancé. Gu Zishi blushed. She was curious and surprised at the same time. Then, she took a look at Qiao Yinyan. Luo had a fiancé. What about young Master Qiao? But when Gu Zishi saw Qiao Yinyan, she didn't see any disappointment or shock on his face. Instead, he was very calm. Could it be that young Master Qiao's feelings for Luo was not what she thought? Gu Zishi suppressed the doubts in her heart and asked Yiqing Luo curiously, "Where's your fiancé? Why isn't he by your side? We were temporarily separated due to some accidents. He is looking for me, and I am also looking for him." Yiqing Luo raised her hand and rubbed Gu Zishi's head. "Look at me, and then look at yourself. You can at least stay by Sheng's side, even if I want to see him now." "I can't." Gu Zishi hugged her head. "You are not as old as me. Are you trying to take advantage of me by rubbing my head? In terms of relationships, I have more experience than you. That means I'm older than you." Yiqing Luo expressed that her age in her previous life and this life had completely crushed her. Gu Zishi couldn't beat her in an argument and couldn't be bothered to continue. She rubbed her messy hair and asked again, "How long have you been separated? Do you miss him?" "Separated seems to have been a long time. After all, one day apart feels like 3 years." Yiqing Luo hid the longing in her eyes. Yes, very much. They arrived at the boundary. She was thinking about Xian all the time. How could she not? As though she could hear the melancholy in Yiqing Luo's tone, Gu Zishi stretched out her hand and hugged her. "We both love each other so much, you will definitely be able to find each other." "Of course, we will find each other." Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with smiles, sparkling like stars. Lao Lai, who was sitting at the side, glared at Qiao Yinyan fiercely as if to show his loyalty. "Did you hear that? Misty really missed her fiancé. They love each other very much. I have seen with my own eyes how good their relationship is. That's a relationship that no one can interfere with." Old Lai's roar was very loud. Yiqing Luo looked at Old Lai helplessly, not quite understanding where Old Lai's sudden hostility towards Qiao Yinyan came from. "I can see that Luo and her fiancé are very close." Qiao Yinyan's expression didn't change at all. His lips curled into a faint smile. "If Luo wants to find her fiancé, this auction is a very good opportunity." He smiled and said, "The auction is held once a year in Without Embroiling City. All the major forces from the other 2 main cities will come to participate. At that time, the Treasures Gathering Exchange House will add your name to the auction list. As long as your fiancé comes to Without Embroiling City and sees your name, he will definitely come and find you." Chapter 35:47. Looking at the both of them, trying to find a solution to their relationship problems. Yiqing Luo's heart felt very warm. She was still very lucky. No matter where she was, she could meet friends who were considerate for her. Although she wasn't familiar with Pei Sheng, Gu Zishi, and Qiao Yinyan, both parties weren't clear about each other's background. Moreover, Yiqing Luo had some suspicions towards them, but that didn't hinder their sincerity towards each other. "All right, it's getting late. I'll return to my room first to tidy up these medicinal herbs that you've picked." Yiqing Luo hugged Gu Zishi. "What about you? Are you going to West Cliff Mountain after decocting the medicine, or tomorrow?" Gu Zishi's smile froze slightly as her eyes looked towards the door of the backyard. Following that, she retracted her gaze and shook her head lightly. "Let's go later. We don't have much time left." Yiqing Luo nodded. Qiao Yinyan stood up Then I'll go to the medical hall first. The few of them split up and did their own things. Yiqing Luo simply tidied up the dining table and instructed Old Lai to wash the dishes. Old Lai was unwilling, but he could only obey. Yiqing Luo returned to the backyard and saw him squatting on the ground, staring at the big pot of medicine in a daze. And on the other side, the candlelight in Pei Sheng's room was flickering, illuminating his slender figure. Yiqing Luo only took a glance. She saw Pei Sheng standing at the door of his room. He didn't walk out of the room. The candlelight elongated his figure. Yiqing Luo was speechless. Who couldn't tell that he was avoiding Gu Zishi? That was too obvious. But Pei Sheng had the intention to avoid Gu Zishi. This was actually a good sign. This also meant that in Pei Sheng's heart, he no longer treated Gu Zishi as his own sister. If he had always treated her as his sister, no matter how Gu Zishi flirted with him, Pei Sheng would only remain indifferent. Now that Pei Sheng had a reaction, it meant that Pei Sheng's feelings towards Gu Zishi were not entirely unrelated to that of siblings. Of course, feelings. No matter what outsiders said or saw, it was useless. The crux was still on themselves. Yiqing Luo had no intention to interfere in their relationship. She didn't make a sound as she carried the two baskets and entered Gu Zishi's room. At this moment, Pei Sheng, who was in the next room, was indeed as what Yiqing Luo had expected, standing stiffly at the door. His handsome face was flushed red. His beautiful eyes were tightly shut, as if he was trying to throw something to the back of his mind. But no matter how hard he tried to brainwash himself to calm down, the woman's delicate and pretty face was still magnified in his mind. Even the girls playfully raised the corners of their lips, raised their eyebrows, and looked back. They were all played back with great clarity, especially the woman's soft and delicate body, which brought about a faint medicinal fragrance that calmed him down. His heart was beating rapidly. Pei Sheng raised his hand and pressed hard on his chest. Beauty misleads people. How could he use these words to describe his little sister? Zishi was his little sister. She was his little sister, whom he took care of as family. His little sister trusted him so much and treated him as her only family. He actually did this to her. There was a different feeling. He was not fit to be her brother. He was so shameless. He didn't even have the right to look at Zishi. This atmosphere lasted for a long time. It was until Gu Zishi finished brewing the medicine to treat her internal injury and left the treasure gathering, turning back every few steps. Chapter 35-48. Yiqing Luo was holding a large wooden ladle, stirring a large pot of medicinal concoction. Hearing footsteps, she glanced sideways. "You're finally willing to come out?" I'm just tired and wanted to rest for a while." Pei Sheng's gaze was flustered as he tried to find an excuse. Yiqing Luo replied, "You can lie to me, but can you lie to your own heart?" Pei Sheng, he lowered his head and his face was shrouded in a layer of shadow, unable to see his expression. Yiqing Luo didn't have the intention to talk about emotional chicken soup with him as she put down the wooden ladle and pointed to the side, a large wooden basin filled with a palm-sized stone bowl. Qiao Yinyan had just sent someone to send it over. Go to the medical hall to send the medicine over. Pei Sheng let out a muffled and walked stiffly to the basin. He bent down and carried the basin on his shoulder, then continued walking stiffly. After a few steps, just as he was about to walk out of the rear courtyard, his footsteps halted. "Little sister, she has already left? Since you're worried, why didn't you come out?" Yiqing Luo looked at him. "She had been waiting for you to tell her to be careful on the way back." Pei Sheng lowered his head again, not saying a word. For a taciturn gourd like Pei Sheng, even if you said a few hundred sentences, he might not be able to reply you with one sentence. Yiqing Luo couldn't be bothered to talk to him. Let him slowly experience and feel it. Only then would he know clearly what he wanted. Pei Sheng carried the wooden basin, while the servants, sent by Qiao Yinyan, carried a large pot of medicinal concoction as they set off towards the medical hall. Qiao Yinyan specially didn't prepare an ox cart to transport it. Instead, he made a few people carry it around, although it was already very late at night. But due to the many dangerous things that happened today, plus there were quite a number of citizens who were injured and lying in the medical hall, there were still quite a number of citizens who hadn't rested. The news of Pei Sheng and Qiao family servants carrying a large pot of medicinal concoction to the medical hall to take care of the citizens instantly spread. It was bustling outside once again. Yiqing Luo, who was in the treasury, didn't put to heart. She sat in Gu Zixi room and started to categorize the medicinal herbs which Gu Zixi had plucked. After a simple treatment, she took out all the medicinal herbs that she used. Old Lai sat aside. The candlelight elongated his black-robed figure, making him look even more like an evil spirit that had crawled out of hell at night to claim someone's life. He knocked on the table. It's not like I don't have crystals on me. I can just go to an inn and get 2 superior rooms. Why do I have to squeeze in a place like this? Lao Lai felt wronged. He was a member of the Underworld Palace. Walking on the street, everyone who saw him would run away. Now, following beside Yiqing Luo, he didn't even have a place to sleep. He said that Pei Sheng's body was weak, but he still let Pei Sheng sleep in the room. As for him, he just needed to find a place, hang a string, and sleep. Hang a string? He was an old man. Was it appropriate for him to sleep with a thread? Yiqing Luo didn't even raise her eyelids. Xiao Yulu and the Lu family side are afraid of the Underworld Palace's power. With you here, they wouldn't dare to do anything to the treasure gathering secretly. If we go to the inn, the same thing that happened 5 years ago might happen to treasure gathering. History will repeat itself. But this time, Zhu Bao wouldn't have another 5 years to do so. Chapter 35:49. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. Since Xiao Yulu insisted on finding trouble with me, then don't blame me for retaliating. Yiqing Luo's tone was indifferent. Why is it so troublesome? I'll just kill her for you. Isn't that enough? Lao Lai said indifferently. Yiqing Luo, killing someone at the slightest disagreement was truly the style of the Underworld Palace. She rolled her eyes at Old Lai. Even if the Underworld Palace is famous, it would still be very strenuous for them to go up against the palace of Linglong Palace. Old Lai curled his lips in disdain. That's just a place that specializes in finding a body with matching strength. It's nothing compared to the Hell Palace. Find a compatible body? Yiqing Luo repeated these few words in puzzlement. Why don't I understand? It's normal for someone from the lower realm like you to not know about such things. Old Lai looked at Yiqing Luo in disdain. It said that the Earth domain is split into 3 main cities, and each main city has a main city's mysterious maiden. To put it bluntly, those so-called 3 great mysterious fairies of the Earth realm are just puppets. Yet, those people are still very pleased with themselves and think that they have become the main envoys of the Earth realm's main cities. Puppet? Yiqing Luo put down the herbs in her hands. She had always felt that the so-called Linglong Palace and the Empyrean Fairy were a little strange, especially after seeing Xiao Yulu. She felt that the Empyrean Fairy was very strange. According to Old Man Song, the Linglong Palace was equivalent to the Nirvana realm's 4 great sects. The Empyrean Fairy was equivalent to the sect masters of the 4 major sections. And the City Lord was equivalent to the royal family of the 4 continents of the Nirvana realm. However, in the Nirvana realm, the 4 great sects restricted each other and contributed to the continent they belonged to. But in the land, she had never heard of the Linglong Palace doing anything for the land. He had never heard of the use of the Empyrean Fairy. All she saw was Xiao Yulu acting domineeringly with her identity as the Empyrean Fairy. In particular, Xiao Yulu didn't even care about the lives of the citizens. This made Yiqing Luo more suspicious. The reason why the palace of Linglong chose the mysterious fairies, and the way the palace of Linglong nurtured them. You won't understand even if I tell you. Anyway, Linglong Palace is not a good place. Just don't get involved with that kind of place. Lao Lai waved his hand and looked like he was too lazy to say more. Do you think the Linglong Palace's Empyrean maiden will let me off the hook? Yiqing Luo tilted her head as she looked at the Linglong Palace with a smile, which didn't look like a smile. You're still thinking of killing Xiao Yulu. Even if I don't want to get involved with the Linglong Palace, they will probably take the initiative to look for me. Old Lai's face twitched. When the Linglong Palace arrives, I'll tear those monsters apart. Yi Ching Luo sized up Old Lai from top to bottom. In the eyes of outsiders, your Hell Palace is also a group of monsters. How dare you say that about others? Old Lai rubbed the mottled scars on his face. The Underworld Palace is just a place that doesn't bother with trifles and isn't affected by the outside world. It's a free and arrogant life. How can you call us monsters? The Ling Long Palace is the real monsters. Yi Ching Luo took a look at Old Lai's face and indicated that she couldn't bear to look at him as she shifted her gaze away. I'm very curious. Back then, I brought the Overlord to create chaos in your Hell Palace, and even killed your Hell Palace's people. But when you saw me, not only did you not treat me as an enemy, you even protected me in various ways and listened to my commands. She touched her chin. Has the Hell Palace changed their character, or are they captivated by my peerless beauty? Chapter 3550. Then what's the reason? Yi Ching Luo was curious. Or could it be? Because you know about my relationship with Xian, so in order to get into his good books, you made use of me and Xian to build a relationship. That's why you treat me so well. Old Lai rolled his eyes. Does Hell Palace look like a place that would build a relationship with other powerhouses? I admit that the Overlord is indeed very strong and his status is respectable. But Hell Palace had always been an independent powerhouse, so we absolutely would not cater to anyone just to please someone. Look, this tone was filled with pride, and that complacent little gaze. It was as though he couldn't wait to tell the entire world that his Hell Palace was different from those flirtatious sluts outside, just that elegant and refined. All right, although she didn't know much about Hell Palace. But Yi Ching Luo also admitted that Hell Palace indeed didn't look like they would lower their status just to please DMO Xian to follow by her side. Thinking of this, Yi Ching Luo became even more curious. Then why on earth did you help me? You really don't remember? Old Lai's white brows creased. Yi Ching Luo propped her chin. What should I remember? Secluded Palace's people wanted to make use of Hell Palace to help them manufacture ghost flame candles. If it wasn't for you and the Overlord's help, I'm afraid the entire Hell Palace would have been reduced to ghost flame candles. Old Lai explained patiently. Back then we Hell Palace said that Hell Palace owed you a favor. So as long as you come to the Earth Realm, no matter what you need, Hell Palace will do their best to help you. Yi Ching Luo suddenly saw the light as her mouth opened wide. Seems like there's such a thing. In your eyes, how unbearable is Hell Palace, that you can even forget the favor I promised you. Mentioning this point, Old Lai almost broke down. How many people wanted to take advantage of Hell Palace, and the price might be to exchange their lives for it. He took the initiative to open his mouth, owing Yi Ching Luo a favor. In a blink of an eye, she had totally forgotten about Hell Palace. Baby Lai's heart was stuffed. Yi Ching Luo coughed lightly. You can't blame me for forgetting. Who asked Hell Palace's reputation to be so bad? Back then you said you owed me a favor, but I totally didn't expect Hell Palace to return this favor. After all, even if Hell Palace goes back on their words, that's normal. How is it normal? Old Lai slammed the table. Although the Hell Palace is a bit overbearing and barbaric, killing people at the slightest disagreement, or capturing people for experiments, doing all kinds of bad things, but the Hell Palace has always kept its promises. Yes, I know now, I know. Yi Ching Luo raised her hands in surrender. Stop hitting. The things here can't withstand your strength. However, when this palm strike landed, apart from the loud banging of the table was still stable and did not seem to shake at all. Lao Lai's slap on the table, just now, was not small. An ordinary table would more or less be affected by this palm. Yi Ching Luo seemed to have thought of something as she raised her hand and slowly touched the tea set on the table. Curling his fingers, he knocked on the table. As expected, this table looked rather old on the surface. But it was a table made of top-grade wood. Only aristocratic families or wealthy merchants could afford to use this kind of wood. Chapter 3551. No. Old Lai didn't understand Yi Ching Luo's sudden silence and change of topic. He answered Yi Ching Luo's question directly and couldn't help but complain. You asked me to follow that lass to the West Cliff Mountain, saying it was to protect her safety. Then you asked me to find an excuse to leave midway. But in fact, I was secretly observing her. What was that for? Are you suspecting that there's something wrong with that lass? Not really suspecting. Yiqing Luo shook her head, just curious about her identity. Identity? Old Lai frowned. How do you know she has another identity? What other identity does she have? Yiqing Luo's body leaned slightly against the back of the chair as she immediately raised one hand. The fingers of his other hand pinched a corner of his sleeve. Sheng brought them back to the treasure-gathering hall when they were young, and they relied on concocting pills to make ends meet. Even a treasure-gathering hall has slowly turned into a small-scale trading hall like this. This shows that their days are tough, and they are poor. This broken-down place is indeed very poor. Old Lai looked around with a look of disgust. But, under such a hard situation, the clothes she wears are very good material. Yiqing Luo rubbed her sleeves. This kind of material, at least rich businessmen can afford to wear it. Not only her clothes, the material is excellent. There's also Sheng. Don't think that Sheng is dressed in gray, looking very down and out, but his clothes are extremely soft, absolutely will not hurt his skin. Yiqing Luo paused for a moment and immediately placed her hand on the table. And the decorations here, although it looks simple and unremarkable, but in actual fact, no matter if it's the table or the chairs, they are all made from top-quality wood. Old Lai couldn't understand these things at all. How can you be so sure that this is related to that lass? Perhaps it's Pei Sheng that Brat's doing. Sheng is not that smart. Yiqing Luo denied directly without thinking. If it's him, the treasure-gathering exchange wouldn't become like this. To Pei Sheng, the treasure-gathering exchange hall was everything to him. If he was really not as simple as he looked on the surface, he would have long reorganized the treasure-gathering exchange hall, and not to the extent that the signboard was taken down. Pei Sheng, who was inexplicably accused of not being smart. Achoo, was someone talking about him? Then tell me, why do you think it's that girl? Lao Lai was curious. He somehow felt that everything seemed to be under Yiqing Luo's control. It seemed like Yiqing Luo knew everything. TSK. No wonder the Overlord had taken a liking to her. Only the Overlord would be able to tame such a woman. Yiqing Luo tilted her head and pointed at Chi-Chi, who was curled up into a ball on the bed. The way she looked at Chi-Chi was very strange. If I didn't guess wrongly, she should have recognized Chi-Chi's identity. You can recognize it? Lao Lai looked at Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi's palm-sized body was snow white, just like a newborn kitten. It was adorable and cute, and it was a world of difference from the white tiger sacred beast, one of the 4 legendary sacred beasts. So, I suspect her identity. Yiqing Luo nodded. Although I don't feel any malicious intent from her, but after all, I don't know her background, and I don't know the purpose of her concealing her identity. So, I feel a little uneasy. Chapter 35:52. Half an hour? Yiqing Luo looked at him seriously. Under your eyes. How could she disappear for half an hour? Old Lai's face turned red. That half an hour when she disappeared, the medicine basket was still there. A young lady needs some private time. How can an old man like me follow her? Because the medicine basket was there. Old Lai thought that Gu Zishi was looking for a secluded place to solve her squatting problem. Private time doesn't need half an hour. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes. She's such a young lady. To be able to live in peace in a place like Westcliff Mountain, she must have some secret there. She touched her chin. Can you help me investigate the relationship between the blood mercenary group and her? Old Lai, he was from the Hell Palace. Now he had fallen to the stage of running errands for a young lass. Another stalker. Another investigator. What did she treat the Hell Palace as? Old Lai expressed his disobedience. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. You still say you owe me a favor, and that if I need anything, you will do your best to help me. I haven't even asked you to do anything, and you're already showing an unwilling face. She paused for a moment, clicked her tongue, and shook her head in disappointment. Indeed, you can't believe the Hell Palace's words. Old Lai's face turned steely green as he squeezed out 2 words, I go. He really shouldn't have told this little demoness the reason why he would help her. At least, This little demoness wouldn't order him around without any ill feelings. Old Lai expressed that if he knew that he would meet this demoness today, he would never come to without embroiling city. Looking at Old Lai's twisted face, that hideous scar on his face was squirming horribly. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as her pink lips curled into a big smile, nodding in satisfaction. Good boy. Old Lai's features became even more twisted. Young lady, aren't you afraid that I will go crazy and kill you? Oh. Yiqing Luo lowered her head and continued to work on the herbs. Then are you afraid that Xian will go crazy and destroy the Hell Palace? Bullying young lady. Old Lai gritted his teeth. Yiqing Luo replied, and bullying others is also a kind of ability. At least I have a backer who is willing to rely on me. Old Lai flicked his sleeves and left. Looking at Old Lai's disappearing figure, Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laugh. Old Lai's character was somewhat similar to teacher Guei Yu. It was easier to deal with such a straightforward person. She smiled and hung her head. Time was running out. He had to hurry up and refine the item that he was going to use to turn the situation around tomorrow. In the medicine basket, there was still a large pile of messy herbs waiting for her to sort them out. Yiqing Luo took a deep breath and threw herself into the medicinal herbs. About an hour later, Yiqing Luo had finally tidied up the medicinal herbs in the 2 medicine baskets, and those medicinal herbs which were to be used were distributed to the side according to the proportion. What made Yiqing Luo astonished was that the quality of these medicinal herbs were not bad at all. Yiqing Luo indicated that West Cliff Mountain had successfully attracted her attention. Once everything was over, she would definitely go to the West Cliff Mountain and sweep it clean. The herbs stored in the profound phoenix ring needed to be refurbished. Yiqing Luo packed all the medicinal herbs which she was going to use later into a medicinal basket and carried it directly to the bed. The lady's soft bed was instantly occupied by a large pile of medicinal herbs. Yiqing Luo sat at the head of the bed, and with a jolt of her consciousness, these medicinal herbs were all brought into the azure dew bracelet. Old Man Song was suspended in midair, swinging his legs. Chapter 35:53. Non-medicinal pills. Yiqing Luo hugged the medicine basket and walked to the cauldron dragon's side. Then what do you want to refine? Old Man Song floated down. His nose twitched as he sniffed the herbs in the basket. Then he frowned. These herbs are to improve the skin and regulate the toxins in the body. What do you want to do? Yiqing Luo was busy with the preparation work in her hands as she replied. Women's money is easy to earn. Women go crazy for their looks, even more crazy than those cultivators who want to improve their strength. Old Man Song. For a moment, he felt speechless. In the 100-pill refining manual, there were all kinds of pill refining recipes. There were also a lot of beauty-nourishing, physique-improving, endocrine-improving, and body fragrance formulas. Refining beauty and nourishing ointment was much more reliable than refining elixirs that strengthened the body and raised profound energy. Most importantly, the herbs were relatively simple in refining a pellet to raise profound strength in a situation where there was no guarantee. Others might not believe in her pills. After the preparations were complete, Yiqing Luo then threw herself into refining the beauty-nourishing ointment. The next morning, Yiqing Luo slowly poured the ointment into a sparkling white jade bottle from the cauldron dragon. The jade bottle was about the size of 2 fingers, transparent and radiating light. The pink ointment in the jade bottle seemed to be plated with a layer of color, very tempting. Yiqing Luo filled the ointment into 4 bottles. After finishing these, Old Man Song's voice sounded, Lass, someone is approaching your room. Yiqing Luo put the jade bottle away and used her divine sense. She opened her eyes and coincidentally heard a knock on the door. Ah Luo, are you awake? Yiqing Luo got down from the bed piled with herbs and used her fingers to comb her loose black hair. I'm up. She opened the door and saw a dirty Gu Zishi standing at the doorway. When she saw Yiqing Luo, her eyes brightened. Ah Luo, did you succeed? The woman was panting. Yiqing Luo also saw the sweat on her forehead. Obviously, Gu Zishi had rushed back early in the morning. It was probably to confirm whether she had successfully refined the beautifying ointment. After all, this was the only chance to save Ju Bao. Yiqing Luo took out a bottle. I've succeeded. I've refined 4 bottles. I'll take this bottle first to test the effect. For bottles? Gu Zishi's eyes widened. With those herbs, I can only make 2 portions of ointment at most. Yiqing Luo smiled. The proportion of medicinal herbs is absolutely not the slightest bit off. You can rest assured. Gu Zishi took the bottle, her hands trembling. Who should we find to test the effects? Judging from Ah Shang's good impression of the citizens yesterday, it shouldn't be that difficult to find someone to test the effect. Yiqing Luo pondered for a moment. Let's do some publicity first, then find a lady with spots or pimples on her face to test it in public. At this point, she touched her chin again and smiled evilly. It's best to blow it up. If Qiao Yulu is so angry that she rushes over to add more scenes, our free publicity will be secured. Gu Zishi, why did she feel that Aluo was getting more and more cunning? If Qiao Yulu knew that her role was just a publicity tool, she wondered if she would be so angry that she would vomit blood. Gu Zishi wiped her dirty face. I'll do it now. Chapter 35:54. Gu Zishi realized that her appearance was in a mess as her gaze swiftly shot towards the tightly shut door next door. She was sure that Pei Sheng hadn't seen her dirty and messy appearance. Then she speedily rushed into the room and closed the door. Yiqing Luo only realized that she was in a sorry state now. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she walked back to her room and started to wash up. By the time that both of them appeared in the main hall, Pei Sheng had already prepared breakfast and was preparing it. Old Lai was already seated at the dining table and started to eat. Yiqing Luo's vision fell onto the other side of the dining table, on the man who was drinking his tea elegantly. Why are you here so early in the morning? Qiao Yinyan calmly put down his teacup. I want to see what you are going to use to let treasure gathering obtain the honor of the best trading house. Yiqing Luo didn't reply as she pulled Gu Zishi, whose head was hung low, not knowing what she was thinking about, to sit by the dining table. Pei Sheng hurriedly filled a bowl of porridge and placed it in front of Yiqing Luo. Immediately after, he filled another bowl and placed it in front of Gu Zishi. Gu Zishi coincidentally raised her hand to take the wooden chopsticks on the table. He raised his hand and touched Pei Sheng's hand. Pei Sheng's hand shook as he speedily put down the porridge and retracted his hand. That handsome face with his drooping eyes drifted erratically. Gu Zishi's pupils contracted as she stood up abruptly and speedily held Pei Sheng's hand. Her fair little hand held the man's big palm tightly. Although Pei Sheng looked extremely slender, but his palm was half the size of Gu Zishi's. Gu Zishi used both her hands to hold Pei Sheng's hand tightly. Your hand, why is it so cold? Gu Zishi asked worriedly. Did you keep watch at the medical hall for the entire night? The lady's soft hand was as smooth as silk. It even carried a lady's unique fragrance. Pei Sheng only felt that the pair of hands which was holding him was like a ball of raging fire, burning incessantly. His heart was being burnt by this raging fire as his heart started to beat wildly. What on earth was going on? In the past, no matter how intimate the both of them were, he wouldn't feel any inappropriateness or discomfort. Why? Now, as long as his little sister got close to him, he couldn't control his own body, his own thoughts. Was it because there were other people around? Or, without hesitation, Pei Sheng quickly withdrew her hand from Gu Zishi's grasp. He lowered his head and said in a low voice, I'm fine. Don't worry. Hurry up and have your breakfast. Gu Zishi was stunned. She looked down at her hands that had been freed, and her eyelashes trembled slightly. He raised his head and stared at Pei Sheng. However, Pei Sheng averted her gaze, not daring to look at her. She even went straight to the backyard. I'm going to prepare the decoction and send it to the clinic later. After saying that, he rushed into the backyard. Gu Zishi stared at Pei Sheng's departing figure with an indescribably subtle expression on her face. She stood in front of the dining table in a daze. Yiqing Luo was by her side. He could clearly feel Gu Zishi's trembling body. Yiqing Luo sighed as she stretched out her hand to pull Gu Zixi sleeve and pressed her down on the chair. Don't push me too hard. Fill your stomach first. We still have work to do later. Gu Zixi didn't say a word as she lowered her head and mechanically picked up the chopsticks, eating the porridge in silence. Looking at the distracted Gu Zixi, Yiqing Luo heaved a long sigh as she patted her shoulder. Chapter 35-55. Xiao Yinyan shook his head. I'm not sure about that. Why are you looking for a woman with a scar on her face? Publicity. Yiqing Luo replied. Xiao Yinyan paused for a moment, a trace of surprise appearing on his face. The item you want to bid on at the auction is something that can remove marks from a woman's face? Yiqing Luo snapped her fingers. Smart. Xiao Yinyan frowned. Since you know how to refine pills, why don't you directly refine pills that can raise profound strength? Something that can remove the marks on a woman's face. No matter how effective it is, there won't be that many people who would want to bid for it. Yiqing Luo raised a finger and shook it. Young Master Qiao, don't underestimate women's craziness for their looks. As long as it's effective, the rich ladies and madams in Without Embroiling City will definitely beg for it. Xiao Yinyan had a look of disbelief on his face as he said, no matter where we are, we respect the strong. As long as we are strong enough, it doesn't matter what we look like. This is what you men think. Yiqing Luo smiled slyly. Want to make a bet? Xiao Yinyan raised an eyebrow. You set Princess Yulu up, and now you want to set me up as well? Yiqing Luo giggled. Didn't you not believe it? How am I tricking you? I'm clearly giving you a chance to prove yourself. Xiao Yinyan looked at the smiling girl in front of him for a long time before he slowly smiled and said, Fine, I'll bet with you. Then it's settled. Yiqing Luo clapped her hands to seal the deal. How do you want to bet? What kind of prize? Xiao Yinyan. The bet is whoever loses will become the other party's slave for a month. How about that? Yiqing Luo nodded. No problem. As the two of them sang together, the atmosphere at the dining table warmed up a little. Gu Zixi reluctantly drank half a bowl of porridge, then used the excuse of going to the West Cliff Mountain to collect herbs and left with the basket on her back. He had even forgotten about the promotion of the beautifying ointment. Soon after, Pei Sheng and the servants of the Qiao clan carried a large pot of medicine to the medical hall. The way they left one after another made Yiqing Luo speechless. These two people, wasn't everything fine before she moved into treasure gathering? Why were the two of them avoiding each other, even if they couldn't pierce through the feelings of both parties? But in any case, they were still siblings, okay? Love is torturous. By the time Yiqing Luo and Old Lai had finished their breakfast, Xiao Yinyan said, Do you need me to ask the Qiao family to help you find a woman with marks on her face? Yiqing Luo was just about to agree, but when the words reached the tip of her tongue, she shook her head. Forget it. It's better not to. Your second sister is still fixated on the treasure gathering, and if you make a move, she will find an excuse to create trouble again. She was injured quite badly yesterday, and father also said a few words to her. She probably won't bother you again before the auction, Xiao Yinyan explained. When Yiqing Luo heard that, the expression on her face congealed slightly as her lips curled into a crafty cold arc. She narrowed her eyes, and there was a glint in her eyes. It embellished a cunning and bottomless starry sky. What kind of wicked idea did you come up with? Xiao Yinyan felt a chill run down his spine from the smile and the look in her eyes. Yiqing Luo propped her chin with one hand and smiled very innocently. I just suddenly thought of a strong publicity method that can absolutely make the beautifying ointment famous. Xiao Yinyan said, I feel that this method of yours will cause someone to suffer.